The world's favorite blonde stands for truth, justice, and the Ramen Way. He is the hero of Konoha, and now with his comrades, he will become the hero of this new world against the evil Overlord and his growing empire. Look out folks, here comes Naruto. The large door seemed to shriek as it slowly opened. The echo of its creak was far-reaching and loud. No matter how many times he opened his front door, that sound would never go away. It didn't matter if he oiled the metal or not. The reason for that was clear. The door's metal hinges were warped beyond repair. Replacing those parts meant the door would no longer make that sound, but he liked that idea less than the noise itself. He felt it was a part of his home. A part of him. It had been for as long as he could remember. He had come to think of that creepy metallic groan as a welcome home, so you could say he was mildly attached to it, no matter how some would dislike such a quirk. The most important thing he told people who came over, or those who overheard the doors screech, was that the sound could serve as a burglar alarm of sorts. Provided, of course, that any burglars actually came to his shabby little home. Nobody would think there was anything valuable hidden behind a door that made the sounds of a slowly dying robot. After all, if anyone was going to make the effort of robbing a house, they would probably rob another, more promising-looking home instead. Personally, he would recommend the Moonlit district on the other side of town, where rich folks were just buying up the fancy homes made and sold by the Tenari Real Estate Corporation. Not that he was advocating crime, though. Besides, spending money on the door would be a stupid waste of funds. He only ever used the damn thing when he went to and came back from work. The white lights in the ceiling came on, triggered by motion sensors. Cerulean blue eyes blinked back against the new brightness, just as his air purifier rumbled to life. The scene beyond his door was the very picture of lonely disregard for human civilization. The hollow, cold and dark sensation still remained, despite the lights turning on. However, this was an everyday sight for him. He closed the front door and engaged the 3 locks. But even so, any thief could probably still break in. A good thief wouldn't even leave a crime scene that could appear any different from the natural state of his home. Perhaps he should use something better for his own security. Nah. The blue-eyed young man concluded that he would not waste money on theft prevention. He only had 3 things of any real-world value in his home, and he interacted with those items daily. The possibility of someone robbing him was very low, and at the moment he felt that his security efforts would be wasted, so he discarded the idea of spending money on it. If the blonde was being truthful and honest, he wasn't poor. Not by a long shot. True, his salary was meager, but he still lived well above the poverty line. He had large sums in his bank accounts, but he had no idea how to spend that money. He had been forced to think thrifty since before he'd even hit puberty. His guardians were kind of weird about money stuff, and their bad habits had rubbed off on him. Those 4 had always warned him against wasting money. He felt that someday soon, he would get the chance to use that money to enjoy himself with friends. The blonde-haired blue-eyed young man tossed his work shoes aside, and suddenly his steps through the entrance hall felt very light, as though the heaviness of his previous movements were all because of his shoes. The dining room and kitchen were to the right of the hallway, and both were barren, practically empty. The blonde washed his hands in the kitchen, then took out a towel, which he wet. After that, he opened the old fridge for some reason, he felt bad that it was still there and took out his dinner. Eating was important. Hunger would reduce his ability to think, and it would only inconvenience him when questing with his comrades. He passed the living room and bathroom before he reached the 3rd area of his home. The only doors beyond it were the 3 bedrooms, and only one had a connected master bathroom. This room here each had exactly what he needed. It was the only thing he needed besides his friends. It was the only thing he had besides his friends. It was thanks to it that he even had friends. The black frame about 100 centimeters wide rested upon a computer desk of some sort. In front of that was a comfortable-looking, high-class armchair, complete with electric footrest. On the side was a remote control and power cables, resting on a wheeled 2-layered table. These were the only things in the room, apart from a calendar on the wall. The furniture was clustered in the center of the room. The lack of anything else might make people think that the owner of this room was an empty shell of a human being who had no interest in anything. Upon the table was the sole bastion that attested to his humanity, a photo of a happy couple cradling a familiar-looking blonde baby. The blonde sighed as he came to the chair and laid his dinner on the table. Then, he undid his necktie and dumped it on the ground. He shed his pants. In his unsightly attire of shirt and boxers, he wiped himself down with a damp towel. Although he planned to take a steam bath afterwards, he could not stand the discomfort of a sticky body. As he wiped himself, he hooked his pants on the tip of his toe and kicked them into a small pile in the corner of the room. Although they were contaminated by the workplace and outside air, they were still his property, which he had paid for, so he would need to wash them to get the dirt off. However, he would do that later. As one of his friends would often say, it was too troublesome to take care of right now. He focused on wiping his face and hands, the parts of him which had been exposed to the outside world. After that, he practically threw himself onto the chair. It was brand name stuff, made by the Lazy Boy Corporation. It might well have been the third most expensive thing in the entire apartment, right next to his smartphone and computer console. Despite how delicate it looked, it did not even creak, in stark contrast with the main door. The blonde sighed deeply again and looked at the ceiling with dull, expressionless eyes. Then, he turned a keen gaze on the calendar. "Ah man, it really has come to this." It was that dreaded day. Oh, how he wanted it to never come, but here it was. Then, a smile dawned on his face. "Ah well, forget it. We'll be okay. If everything goes the way I want it, then we'll still have plenty of good times ahead of us." Indeed. As long as he thought of what he had planned for this horrible day, even pain like today could be forgiven. The blue-eyed young man picked up his dinner, which he had just laid on the table. He popped the top on it and instantly felt it warm to a burning heat in his hands. It was a good heat as he took out the folded fork and began to stir up the noodles and vegetables that came in the instant meal of ramen. True, it wasn't as good as the stuff they served at the ramen bar he worked, but that didn't matter to him. The truth was he just loved ramen noodles. As far back as he could remember, he had been eating ramen with gusto, and there was nothing else that gave his heart the same level of satisfaction as slurping down a few cups or bowls of the stuff. It was gone only a few minutes later. The young man gulped down a health drink and burped to signal the end of his cheap little meal. He usually ate lunch outside with the only co-worker who would talk to him. Then again, AM seemed to talk at him more often than not, especially about her overbearing father who owned the ramen bar they worked in, and the loser she seemed to attract before actually dating them. She made the comment that he should be her next boyfriend a lot, but she never went through on it, so he simply smiled through the pain and ate in uncomfortable silence. After all, he sort of already had a girlfriend, kind of, maybe. Replenishing the nutrients of his body, the blonde finally began acting like a human being. Unlike the clumsy fumbling when he first came home, his blue eyes were bright and his movements were nimble. He picked up a black power cable, which was connected to a wall outlet. The blonde removed the protective plastic covering on one end of the plug, revealing a plug that was roughly 3 centimeters across. A silver gleam blended with the liquid glittering of the slippery protective fluid. He held the cable in one hand and lifted up the hair on the back of his neck with the other. The subdued glint there came from the man-made object embedded in the nape of his neck. With practiced ease, he opened the roughly 3 centimeter cover on the back of his neck. The sliding motion exposed the socket hidden beneath it. He pressed the plug home, without any hesitation. Oh. In time with his quiet sigh, he could feel light moving through his body, as though his blood vessels were filled with radiance. The room had not changed, but his field of vision was different now. Several windows popped up within his line of sight, showing him the information flowing into the processor that was embedded at the nape of his neck. He began operating the CPU. Someone from an earlier age might be weirded out at the strange gestures he was performing in empty space. However, his cranial CPU read the weak electrical impulses of his synapses and converted it into data. In terms that even he could understand, it was thought-controlled, and the system was quite literally plugged into his head whenever he needed it. His thoughts reached his supercomputer through the medium of the cable and turned on the television. The power came on and a screen appeared in the black frame. Within it, a primly dressed red-headed female began reading the news. The conflict that started last week between the Russian spy brigade and the United States infiltration team has reached a new height today. He manipulated an invisible console and changed the channel. Regarding the 3 mega game corporations of the world, President Eddard Stark has issued an emergency address to about the confirmed shutdown of Yggdra. He changed the channel again. Arrested for the sale of illegal cyberware in Hong Kong, ex-captain of industry, Sumsuke-san was finally captured by the combined efforts of up-and-coming investigator Ichigo Kurosaki and formerly exiled captain of sciences, Kisuke Urahara. The screen flickered rapidly between several channels, but the news he was hoping to see did not appear. The blonde moved his hand and turned off the TV. Nothing about stopping it, shit, well then let's begin. He picked up the helmet that almost covered his entire head as mandated by the computer laws, connected another wire to his neck and linked it to the helmet, then put it over his head. Although it was supposed to be a full-face helmet, the camera mounted on the outside would transmit its video signal directly to the brain, so his field of vision was still clear. The helmet included a system that would automatically record everything which went on in the virtual world. As an aside, it would retain footage for a month, automatically deleting it after that. A lot of people wanted to avoid wearing the helmet. It was only natural, since putting it on was something like giving up one's privacy. Yet, almost everyone wore the helmets. It was not just because of the law. It was because it protected people. The neural nano interface was a human brain augmentation which allowed it to function as a supercomputer. A super high-performance personal computer. It was essential for daily life, but sometimes they were used in crimes as well. In particular, hackers would use the brains of others as a springboard to commit crimes. Because of that, helmets like the one on his head could prove one's innocence, even if the wearer was implicated in a crime. One could say this was the safety net of the computing world. In contrast, not having one of them greatly increased the chances that one might be charged when involved in a crime, so only a handful of people chose not to wear them. He noted the words that said recording had begun, and then he operated the console window floating near his hand. He opened several new windows nearby, then brought one of them near his hand and touched it. The window he touched had the word Yggdrasil on it. Soon, his real life would begin. However. Suddenly, an alert rang in his ear. Only he could hear it. The frustrated expression came over his face. The newly appeared window said, intracranial nanomachine depletion over 85%. Please replenish nanomachines. Ugh. The blue-eyed teen sighed with exaggerated loudness in response to the damper on his enjoyment. Nobody was there, of course, but he could not help wanting to express his feelings. Fine, dumbest machine, I got it, the blonde minimized the window, which was making annoying alert noises. I know. I don't want to be booted out halfway through something during the game because of an error, so sit there and wait. He grabbed the painless syringe as he mumbled to himself. The injector looked like a seal stamp as he brought it to his arm, and then he pressed it. Much like how he felt when he inserted the plug into his head, he felt a radiance moving through his body. It started from his arms and then spread through his body like wildfire. He calmly placed the empty syringe on the table. He could cheaply exchange it for a new one at a clinic, but if he broke it, the replacement would be very expensive. Therefore, he treated it carefully in order not to waste money needlessly. The message told him that a quantity of cerebral nanomachines had been infused into his body and then it automatically vanished. And now, the preparations were complete. That should be everything. There should be nothing else to get in his way. Nobody would call him, so there was no need to switch off the integrated mobile phone network. His eyes gleaming like a kid at the Disneyland theme park, the blonde clicked the window named Yggdrasil. And the world changed. His cerebral nanomachines began their computations, disrupting his field of vision and taking control of his voluntary nervous system, and everything changed. An empty void extended in all directions. No, there were things sparkling in the darkness like stars like space. Among them floated a gigantic tree that seemed to encompass everything. Part of his visual field flickered, and if he tilted his head to the side, he could see something. It was a mirror. Bright cerulean blue eyes burned with determination. Blonde locks resting gently on his forehead while sticking out in every direction. An orange sweatshirt with black stripes, black pants, and dull dark boots. A short-sleeved red coat with black flames pattern around the hem, held together by a black cord. The right arm in bandages to make it look cooler. He was not at all confused or afraid by the mirror that had appeared out of nothingness. Naturally, it was because that mirror contained his other self, with which he was intimately familiar. He reached out a hand, and the moment he touched the mirror's reflection, it shattered, and his point of view changed once more. Countless lines of algorithm swept across his vision and vanished in an instant. They seemed to have some significance, but since he knew nothing about them, they were meaningless to him. Besides, not knowing them would not inconvenience him in the slightest. However, there was one line that he recognized. It was on the bar at the top of his view. If the number on the right did not reach 100%, the adventure would not begin. With nothing to do, he looked at his hands. The bandaged right arm was something a comrade had told him to add to his character in order to make it appear more badass. He clenched his fists and opened them again and again. While the sensations were dull, it was close to reality now. The number on the top row became the 100% he was hoping for, and several icons appeared. The one he selected was composed of a triangle joined atop a rectangle. In other words, the home button. If he clicked it, it would in turn change shape into a bar that represented a waiting area. The 7/30ths on it represented that out of the maximum of 30 people, there were 7 already there. He hid his growing excitement under his character's famous toothy grin and then touched it with a bandaged finger. After that, he selected yes when he was asked, "Are you sure?" Beginning entry. "Please stand by." The female voice coming from beside his ear had a musical quality about it and sounded like a human speaking. Of course, it was electronically generated. Even people with good senses could not tell the difference. He knew that only someone like his friend, with excellent hearing which his friend called useless pitch, would know about it. That piece of information came from that friend's elder sister, who told him about it in great detail. While it was good that she told him that, even if he knew it was pointless, he still believed in that rumor that telling the voice to hurry up would let you into the game more quickly. Therefore, he said to the voice. Come on. Let me in faster, Dadabayo." Naruto found himself standing in an empty room within a plain old medieval-style building. The brief disorientation he felt as his mind switched over to a fictional world quickly faded away. He carefully looked around his surroundings. The room had a high ceiling, and though there were no obvious light sources, a side of the ceiling glowed with white light from a growing mass of crystals. Naruto. Oh, shit. Too soon, too soon. Dadabayo. Wyo Choji, my dude. What's up, guy? Naruto's voice came out shakily as he turned to see a longtime comrade stomping toward him. Naruto had logged into Yggdrasil over 1,000 countless times before, but only 3 times before in his playing the game had he ever gotten the same log-in destination as one of his guildmates and ported in same time as them. In fact, people rarely if ever spoken to him in this room, so he was confused for a moment. Only the briefest of moments. Right before nearly wanting to shit his video game pants. You see, the voice addressing Naruto came from his hefty guildmate, Choji Akimichi. All-around nice guy. Sunny disposition, always kind to animals. Also, a national winning college wrestler and young adult division sumo champ. And boy was he pissed as he stomped his way over toward the blonde. Choji had red swirl marks on each cheek, chestnut brown hair, and dark brown eyes. Naruto took notice that Choji's avatar had changed a bit since they last saw each other. His spiky, brown hair was now cut short and he was sporting a goatee. Choji also seemed to ditch his red and grey armor, instead going for a green Haori over chest plate armor, the kanji for food SS on the front, brown pants with a red belt, bandages around his arms, and black sandals. The plump guy also seemed to have replaced his hoop earrings with studs. You called my fucking parents. Choji roared, and Naruto began to truly fear for his levels in EXP now. Even fearing for his actual life outside of the game. Wait, Choji man. I can explain. Don't kill me. I just ate ramen. Naruto begged pitifully, even as Choji grabbed him by his coat collar. I ought to punch a hole right through you. Choji snapped back, I thought we were friends. You could have just shot me a reminder about today. Hell, you could have just shot me. But no. You went and used my personal information against me to not only find my parents, but to call them. You ass. He punctuated each sentence with a rough shaker punch to Naruto, who endured his punishment like a man. By screaming and flailing about for anyone to help him. The people who entered the log-in room quickly made themselves scarce to the scene unfolding between the 2 young men. I just didn't want you to miss the last day. Naruto cried, even as his eyes sparkled at the friend's comment. Plus, I knew that if you didn't show up, then half the others wouldn't log in either. Everyone likes you, Choji. They only tolerate me. My mom gave me nearly an hour of mom mode lecturing on how I should be a better friend. Choji threw Naruto to one side, then picked him up and suplexed him into the ground. The floor cracked, but repaired even as Naruto's avatar took no damage in the safe zone. And my dad, he couldn't even look at me. All he said was, I'm so disappointed in you, son, do you have any idea how that makes me feel? Oh god. Oh no. Please stop. I'll make this up to you. I'll call them and clear everything up. Dear god, no. No, not the RKO. After half an hour and one call to Choji's parents later, the plump male was all smiles again, seeming to radiate light and joy like a literal angel. Ah, much better. And mom even said she'd make me a jumbo pot of spaghetti on my next trip home from college. Thanks Naruto, you're a real pal. Choji giggled. Naruto, however, was nearly sitting stars on the ground from where he ended the call with Choji's folks. Yeah, what are friends for if not this, Dadabayo. Now we can go meet up with the others. Choji declared, picking Naruto up off the floor and standing him on his feet. Naruto shook himself right and gave a thumbs up. He flashed a white smile and began walking alongside Choji to their destination, their guild base in this section of Midgard. That's right. I still have plans for today, Dadabayo. Naruto looked over at Choji. Is everyone really here already? Choji smiled sinister to the side though, and Naruto shivered as he felt an ominous chill breeze over his neck. Yeah, we've all been discussing this particular meeting all day, behind your back, everyone aside from Shikamaru, Neji, and Rock Lee are here. After all, Ino wants to thank you for hacking her Twitch stream, blabbing to all her fans about how she and Sakura were going to skip out on the last day to go check a midnight shopping exclusive. Naruto stopped dead in his tracks while Choji whistled innocently to himself, never once breaking stride. Oh no, Dadabayo, the blonde mumbled in horror, even as he forced his legs to move forward onto the path. It was a given that Shikamaru was not coming since he stopped playing altogether months ago, after meeting some girl in college and moving on with his life. The same with Neji, who was busy with company work all the time, and Rock Lee who was caring for his adoptive father so much these days. Naruto had only called to express his want to stay in contact with them after the game's end, since he knew their lives were stressful and hectic at the moment. Nevertheless, Naruto swallowed his fear and moved forward. He had done all this in the hopes of getting them here. To enact his master plan. Now that they were here, he couldn't back out like a coward. He would face them all head-on. After all, he was Naruto Uzumaki. Regrets. All of the regrets. Nothing but regrets right now. Naruto screamed like a little girl as Ino tried to twist his left arm off his body, Kiba got him in a chokehold, and Sakura had his right leg in a complex wrestler's move he couldn't even think about at the time because the pain was so stupidly blinding. Shut the hell up and take your lumps like a man. Ino growled, now using her foot to try and get enough leverage to rip the arm from Naruto's avatar. Yeah? Who the fuck are you to tell my mom that I was gonna skip out on today to buy a dog? That was our secret, you traitor scum. Kiba flexed his muscles and listened to the sweet sounds of Naruto, begging for a mercy that would never come. And don't you ever dare threaten to call or meet up with my Sasuke. Especially not to tell him I've been playing this stupid game with an idiot like you. Sakura was the most savage, repeatedly kicking Naruto in the spot his avatar would have testicles, if not for the invincibility box there on all male avatars, updated since 3 months after the game's release over 12 years ago. While this was all going on, the rest of the assembled members only watched on with the barest of interest, as though Naruto being murdered in cold-blooded brutality were a daily occurrence. Toji was mellow, smiling and munching on an in-game endless bag of chips, since he had done his damage already. Hinata fretted with her hands as she waited patiently for the others to get their anger out of their systems. She very much agreed with them that Naruto's deplorable tactics to draw them all back to the guild was out of line and deserved some form of punishment. For her, all he had done was call to ask if she'd come for the specified time, and her answer had been an enthused confirmation. Then they had talked into the night about their day, what they'd do the next day, and Naruto had asked what she was wearing. Having gotten flustered over such a lewd request, she'd hung up the phone on accident and could never work up the nerve to call him back to continue the conversation, sexualized or not. Though that was how most of their talks ended these days since they were sort of dating online, kind of, maybe, honestly, Hinata knew she was too easily flustered about having started such a relationship with an online friend she had known for years now, but Naruto was patient and oh so engaging with her. One day she'd be able to talk about how much she liked him without becoming a stuttering, stumbling mess, one day soon, she promised. Shino watched Naruto get punted around like a football with little interest. He had been more than willing to go to this last meeting. After all, his parents and his roommate Fu had agreed that this game was good for him. That had been several years ago now, and after meeting such people as Naruto, Hinata, and Kiba, well, Shino could say that his short life had been filled with precious memories. Even if some of them were questionable, oh well, Fu liked it all and said it was fun, so who was he to try to apply logic to his crazy incorrigible friend Fu? Temari was honestly starting to get a headache with all the screaming from Naruto. Geez, did the guy ever run out of breath? She knew his character build was that of a stamina freak, but why in the name of Osiris did he have to have the lung capacity of a Nile crocodile? Naruto had called their house, but didn't need some whacked out plan to get them on board. Temari had picked up the phone after her dad yelled about her not doing anything around the house, even chores, and demanded she at least answer the damn phone. They had missed Naruto's first call with the ensuing arguing, but she answered the second one with an attitude as harsh as the desert sun. Naruto had been properly cowed by this, just coming out to ask if she and Gaara would attend the last day of the game. Temari hadn't been entirely sure, but after getting over how damn sneaky Gaara still was despite all the years she'd lived with her little brother when he popped up behind her to say yes, they were going no matter what. Temari had begrudgingly told Naruto they would be there rather than her normal 20 hours of loafing around the house like the queen she was. Glancing over, Temari saw that Gaara was watching Naruto take his beats intently, a few tendrils of sand in the air around him, showing that he had indeed improved on his self-control by not murdering Naruto's attackers. Gaara had improved his patience plenty since they had started playing this game and meeting Naruto all those 6 years ago. She would have to inform Gaara's doctor and their father about this so Gaara could get another gold star on his anger management board. He only needed one more gold star to get his prize of all he can eat Totino's hot pizza rolls. Gaara would follow Naruto into hell and back if the blonde asked, and honestly Temari couldn't rightly blame her brother. Naruto had an infectious personality that was equal parts annoying and fun, so it was a coin toss on how his words or actions would affect you at any given time. She was a bit worried that Gaara would never find himself a girlfriend if all he continued to talk about was Naruto when he rarely met new people. Oh well, she shrugged. If her brother turned out gay, she'd love him all the same. But Temari feared for Naruto's actual life if that turned out true. Gaara was still a psychopathic psych patient, after all. And with how sneaky and efficient he was when he put his mind to it, her redheaded little brother could kidnap the Pope on a Sunday. Never mind some loser blonde guy in the middle of nowhere where people barely remembered existed, even at the job he worked for the last 6 years. Oh well, Naruto would do just fine as her brother-in-law as she remembered that he didn't mind San very much. Tenten drummed her fingers along the meeting table, watching with dull eyes as Naruto was thrown away like a used wad of tissue by Ino, Kiba, and Sakura. She was a little sad that Rock Lee couldn't join them, but he had to take care of Might Guy lest that crazy man injure himself further by trying to do 1,000 crunches up the stairs to their house. Or get out of his wheelchair to run some randomly sponsored marathon across Hong Kong on his already broken leg. Or even carry Ms. Hokisai to the grocery store on his back because hers was hurting due to all the recent bad weather. Thankfully and crazily, Rock Lee was able to do all that for Guy so the man wouldn't push himself while recovering, but that also meant Lee didn't have to spend the last day with him. He and Guy were going on their weekly midnight hike and Lee had asked her to go to this last meeting to express his condolences on not meeting his comrades for the last of the game's days. When Naruto had called, Tenten was thankful that he understood about Lee and Guy's relationship as not only adopted family but also super weird workout partners. Naruto always hyped them up when he called and even expressed often how much he wished he could join them in their extreme routines that pushed the human body to unnatural limits. Graciously, God had also sent her Kiba, who while a mooch and lazy beyond reason, was also adamant on never going again with Lee and Guy on one of their daily workouts after only trying it once. She didn't blame him though. She had tried it and could still feel the phantom pains in her muscles after all those years. Tenten came back to reality as everyone resumed their seats at the table with Ino and Kiba rotating their arms lightly from the workout of beating up Naruto complete. Sakura had given him one last kick for good measure, but now everyone seemed relaxed as there was only an hour left before the shutdown of the Yggdrasil servers forever. Or at least until a sequel came out. She hadn't heard any news about one, but she doubted the internationally successful game didn't have one in the works just to spring it on the world's blogs and stuff. They were probably trying a marketing tactic of announcing it at the very last minute of the game, or something. At least, that's what Tenten would have done since she was a saleswoman herself selling replica weapons from fantasy and pop culture. The game Yggdrasil was composed of 9 separate worlds. Each of them was ridiculously huge, and there were many places within them which were difficult to explore. For instance, there were gigantic swamps, verdant expanses of rainforest, scorching deserts, and the like. One needed special equipment to delve into the dungeons there, as well as a proper strategy and the determination to throw one's life away for the trip. Even so, there were many people who wasted their time on a trip. This was because these hard-to-find dungeons contained monsters which dropped valuable data crystals. Anyone worth their salt who played this game would be excited to find a previously unexplored dungeon. One could say it was a gold mine. In addition, discovering a dungeon could affect the world ranking of a guild. Which was precisely why their Guild of Konoha 12, or more commonly known to the masses as Konoha of Hidden Leaves, was ranked within the top 20 of guilds worldwide. They had discovered their guild base by exploring every aspect of a forbidden mountain, hidden within a mass of trees so big that they dwarfed the mountain the guild was built in front of. And they were also very popular with players as a helpful good-aligned guild that gave advice to new players and even held events for special items or information they had discovered. Not to mention that each of them was ridiculously OP as hell within their individual character builds and the former intelligence of Shikamaru Nara rubbing off on them a bit. Serve shut down in -1 o'clock, -0:59 and 56 seconds, -0:59 and 52 seconds. No, I am 100% serious, Ino. Tenten heard Choji address his childhood friend as though he were handing her a bomb to disarm. I saw it with my own eyes. The other day, that Sasuke guy's brother got taken in by some dudes in black suits and shades. I think his name is Itachi, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, looked really shady to me, but went with them without a single look back even as his mom and dad were threatening everyone on the street. Oh no, Ino covered her mouth with a gasp, poor Sasuke. He must be so distraught. I wish there was something I could do. My dad is one of those government types, but I don't think Sasuke's brother would have to see him unless he did something really messed up. Naruto picked himself up off the ground and took his seat next to Hinata. Were they wearing wired earpieces or carrying rifles? Because it makes a difference. Kakashi is the type to have an earpiece, but Jiraiya is the one with guns galore. Even if he does get them all custom painted with toads and frogs all over them. I don't know, Naruto, but I wasn't trying to stick around to find out. After the car pulled off with Itachi inside, the remaining men and black guys started questioning the neighborhood. When I tell you I noped out of that situation so fast. I just moved into my apartment from the college dorms. I was not about to have those guys smell weed on me. Joji. I thought you quit smoking. Tenten admonished, but he gave her a cheeky grin. I did, but then I met up with Shikamaru and her girlfriend. Choji turned toward Naruto and Kiba, deftly using his fingers to quickly bring up a digital picture that he slid their way. The instant grins and drool from their mouths said it all. That girl is stacked. When a woman likes that, says she needs to relax, and then your best friend since diapers asks if you have any left in your old stash, you be a bud and break out that rainy day joints. Choji is the man. Naruto cheered. The best man. Kiba joined in. Forward these pics to me, Dadabayo. And me. God, how the fuck did a lame-ass duck like Shikamaru end up with a hot eye like that? Don't know, Choji shrugged as he put the screen away at the glares of the women aside from Temari, who couldn't care less. I'd say I'm jealous, but Samui really isn't my type of girl. I mean, her body is nice, but she has a really cold and aloof attitude. She and Shikamaru get along great though. They both have someone who they like that doesn't play childish games in their relationship, plus neither bothers the other one for anything too big. It was like the stars in the universe aligned just for them. Geez, Kiba slouched back into his chair. When am I going to meet my perfect woman? I've been on this earth longer than that lazy fucker. Tenten, who had previously dated Kiba for all of 6 months a couple years back, turned up her nose and crossed her arms away from him. Maybe when you learn to clean up after yourself and stop lounging around in your underwear on a Saturday evening. I still remember you missing one of our dates because you couldn't be bothered to put on pants, filthy mutt. Hey. Don't spread our business like that. Especially when it's bad for me. Kiba begged, knowing that trying to manhandle Tenten was a death sentence to his real-life balls. You know, when you break up with a guy and then stay friends with him, you should be his greatest wingman. You should be saying things to other girls like how I'm great in bed, how much I can bench press at the gym, and how I wrestled that gorilla once. Tenten gave him a bland deadpan look. Firstly, I had to save you when you put on too much weight trying to impress other girls at the gym. And secondly, that wasn't a gorilla. It was a monkey that only tried to get you because you were taunting it with a banana. I swear, it's like since you moved into my neighborhood here in Hong Kong, you've only gotten worse as a guy. At least in the beginning you were a little rough around the edges, but still kinda sweet and charming. What happened to that Kiba? Kiba snorted as he leaned back into his chair with his arms behind his head. That was just me trying to make a new friend in a new place. And, since I know you appreciate honesty, I'll be truthful in the fact that when I met you, I thought you were one of the most beautiful girls I ever saw. I knew I had to try to get with you. Then you showed me how hardworking, strong, and insightful you were. Oh, Ino and Sakura-kun. That's when I knew I had to get into your pants. You were one in a million kind of girl, and I wanted to be able to brag about tapping that sweet ass of yours. Ugh, Ino and Sakura groaned while facepalming, even as Tenten looked shocked and embarrassed beyond reason. That was oddly sweet and yet completely in your wheelhouse of crudeness. Thank you Kiba, thanks a lot, glad I dumped your dumbus. HNN, you haven't said yet how good he is in bed. Temari spoke up with a smirk as Tenten flinched while blushing. Don't think we haven't noticed. Come on, how is he? Hey. Shouldn't you be asking me how good she is? No, because every woman born that decides to give a man a little action is amazing in bed. Even if they lay there like a dead fish. Temari waved Kiba off dismissively, it's still better than your hand or toys at night, I'm sure. Honestly, now even I'm curious. Sakura tapped her bottom lip, gazing over at Tenten. How is he? Kiba seems like a rather wild guy. Did he make your first time memorable at least? He wasn't my first time, Tenten mumbled, her face aflame even as Kiba gasped in shock. My first time was with Lee. No way. Ino and Sakura gasped at the drama. Boy, wait. You said you and he never, what the hell? Kiba bolted up from his chair, but Naruto and Choji pushed him right back down, even as their eyes stayed glued to Tenten. The drama was just too good. Tenten shook her embarrassment off and took the plunge like a big girl. You all are so lucky we've been such good friends over the course of this game, and I won't have to hear from any of you for at least a week after my cruise. Yes, my first time was with Lee. Yes, Kiba, I lied when we got together because I didn't want to seem like a slut or some easy girl who just puts out for all her boyfriends by the third date. Lee and I were together for a whole year before we did anything, but I have to say it was actually really good. Lee has stamina for days kind of like Naruto, and his muscles are not just for show. He could pick me up and hold me. Put me in positions I had only ever seen online. Tenten, come back down to earth please, Shino spoke up, making Tenten giggle, even as her face was tomato red. Sorry, anyways, yes, Kiba was quite good. He certainly knew how to take control of the situation and go after whatever part of me that he wanted in the moment. He was also mindful of me even in his dominant attitude. Hell yes, glowing review from another satisfied customer. You sound like a cheap porn site, please stop, Sakura rolled her eyes. But. Oh no. Kiba looked horrified. If we are being totally honest here and we are, then some criticism from a good friend and former lover is warranted. Hey. I didn't hear any complaints in the moment. Because what kind of bitch would do that? Tenten crossed her arms under her modest breasts. Did you want me to stop saying all those good things and moaning like a wanton whore in the middle of sex to tell you that while I appreciate doggy style, it should not be the only position you apparently know? You could hear a pin drop. Well damn, Kiba, Naruto mumbled out as he pat his friend on the back. At least she didn't call you a one-pump chump. Choji encouraged. And another thing. Tenten snapped, finding her anger that she was not only put on the spot by Kiba, but also being debated on his sexual prowess by him in front their friends. Don't just assume the woman wants to be manhandled in bed all the time. It was great the first couple of times, but it really pissed me off how you ignored what I was telling you just to throw me on bed and bury your bone. Foreplay isn't just a suggestion, Dumbus, it's how you keep the spark in a relationship, even when everything else in it is crap. Also, clean yourself up. You smell like dog, and you've never even owned a dog. You never put any effort into yourself. At least Naruto met Hinata in person in a semi-formal suit. Naruto turned to Hinata with a look of betrayal. You told them. Ah. Hinata blushed and hid her face away from the others. They were so curious about how our week W went when you came to see me here in Japan. Plus, it went just like a fairy tale or a dream. I didn't see a reason not to share with them our wonderful time together. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I should have asked you about it beforehand. Naruto was hugging Hinata to him in an instant, nuzzling her to his chest while he kissed her forehead. Oh, Hinata. I could never be mad at you. You taught me a lot about Japanese culture and even some of the language, Dadabayo. That still isn't an actual word, Dumbus, Sakura growled, but Ino could only sigh and shake her head. Geez, now I need an actual boyfriend for these lonely nights. Having Naruto as an internet boyfriend for the views on my Twitch stream is great, plus the fake dates we go on aren't bad, but hearing all this sex talk and seeing Hinata with Naruto makes me long for a man of my own. Wait, what? Naruto snapped, Dadabayo, aren't I man enough for you? Are you really just gonna throw our marriage away like that? Why, Hinata, do you hear her? Talk some sense into your sister wife. Hinata only giggled as Ino rolled her eyes at his antics. Idiot, I said a real relationship. Not the in-game one. You are kind of in real life dating Hinata. Hinata looked over to Ino with a mischievous glint in her eye. It's okay, Ino-chan, I don't mind sharing our loving husband. Honestly, he has too much love in his heart for any one woman alone. Please, wouldn't you continue to share our bed as my sister wife? Especially since I also find you so alluring. Ino snorted into her hand with laughter while Sakura, Tenten, and Temari had to fan themselves. Even Choji and Kiba were huffing like animals in heat from Hinata's rather sensual words and provocative posing. You can't even go a whole sentence without stuttering while talking to Naruto, but you have the audacity to sit there and act like a harem hentai game character come to life flirting with me. Hinata, you sly little bitch. How could I possibly say no to some hot threesome action, especially between you and our lovable moron? Ino waved her hand while Hinata blushed all the way to her roots. I am trying to be more bold and confident in myself. I hope you will take care of me on this long road I have ahead. Now how does one get in on all this hot action? Temari asked, licking her lips lightly. I've been meaning to hook up with another blonde, so it doesn't matter to me which of you it is. Yeah, I'd like to see how Naruto rates on my scale of men. Right now, I only have a handful of guys I've been with, but you look like the sweet innocent type to cover up inexperience with a lot of determination to be good and please your partner. Tenten said, making Naruto blush and Kiba balk. Boy, hold up. You've been with guys since we broke up. That's not fair. I haven't had any since you dumped me. Kiba yelled, gesturing wildly even as Tenten gave him a bland look. Clean yourself and your apartment, then maybe I'll wingman a lady for you. Until then, I'll call you a one-pump chump. You won't dare. Try me, dog boy. Kiba was on his hands and knees in an instant, kissing Tenten's avatar-heeled shinobi sandals. Please, mistress, help this lowly mutt get laid at least one last time before the new year. Temari and Ino whistled while Naruto and Hinata were whispering in each other's ears. Whatever was being said between the two had Naruto grinning more and more, while Hinata's face went cherry red. Geez, you sure have him trained. Ino commented as Temari nodded. Right. What did you do to him? Temari asked while leaning an elbow on the table and resting her head in her hand. We may have broken up, but I know how to put my foot down every once in a while. He might have been in charge in bed, but before we get to the bed I was always in control. Tenten smiled, petting Kiba's head even as he nuzzled her hand. Besides, me and this dog-obsessed dork are still great friends. I care about him and will use any means necessary to make him care about himself. If I have to spread some bad rumors, then that's his fault for being filthy. He'll just either have to clean up his act or work twice as hard at proving the rumors wrong. And I know better than to play chicken against this crazy bitch. Kiba said as he rose from his spot, comedy act over. I remember before we dated, Tenten once told everyone in the neighborhood about this guy who had a really small dick. Got loud about it for weeks after they broke up and he trashed her shop. Oh yeah, I remember that. Ino chirped, turning to Tenten. What was his name again? Sino. Shula. Shimamura. His name was Shira. Tenten said blandly, not looking to broach her relationship with that asshole. He moved to China from Egypt to study at the temple, teaching the silent fist style of the seven heavens breathing method. He was so handsome, too. Too bad he turned out to be a cheating and manipulative asshole. Tried to make me think I was the problem in our relationship because I wouldn't let him bring his friends and other women into the bedroom. When I kicked him to the curb, he tore up my shop. Diba flex an arm, kissing his bicep. Yeah, but we tracked him down and kicked his ass. First Tenten started beating his ass with her bow staff, then when he thought I was just gonna stand there as he tried to knock her teeth out, I jumped in and began fucking him up. But oh buddy. You should have seen Rock Lee whooping that guy's ass in the unadulterated manner. I swear Lee's whole body was red and bulging by the time he got done with the guy. You guys live such vibrant life in China. I'm so jealous. Sakura sighed back into her chair. Meanwhile, the most exciting thing around here in New York for me is that the water heater broke in my house and a homeless guy on the subway said I would make a good hooker. I got porn star, Ino muttered aloud with a shrug. Hey. What are you two over there whispering about? Tamari asked, spying Hinata mumbling into Naruto's ear about something. Curse this game for having proximity audio. Oh. Hinata hid her face in Naruto's chest even as he chuckled. Hinata's really shy about this sort of stuff, but we're kind of teasing over here. Oh. But she's just been telling me about this fantasy of hers about a hot spring with you, Tenten, and Ino ga. Hinata clapped a hand over Naruto's mouth so fast that it registered as an attack, but thanks to them being players in the same guild, it automatically dropped back down to 0 damage. Please don't say, Naruto-kun. It's too embarrassing. Hinata whined even as Naruto laughed into her hand. Anyways, shouldn't we be talked about something more important than our sex lives or lack thereof? I mean, wasn't Naruto bringing us together for some reason? Sakura asked after staring at the odd couple for a few moments. -0001127, -0001123, -0001119, -0001115, -0001111, -0001107, -0001103. Naruto gently moved Hinata's hand aside. Ah, yeah. That's right. My grandmaster plan. Shino crossed his arms lightly, dark shades shining a little from the effect they had thanks to a cash shop item. My expectations are tempered, but my enthusiasm is high. HMPH, well Shino is being a meanie today, but I have the greatest idea ever. Naruto said, then did his own little drumroll on the table. Get ready for it, because Naruto Uzumaki is coming at you living in person. Me and Hinata worked it out this week. Since the new year is close at hand and everyone is on break for the next 3 weeks, I thought we could all meet up in New York sometime. Kiba looked at him like he was crazy. Ino seemed annoyed. And Sakura appeared downright murderous. This fool must think my money stretches like Elastigirl, Kiba muttered. No, obviously he thinks that dollars grow on trees, I don't dress like a thought and pose like a slut to make this Twitch money for my own health, you know. College is hella expensive up here. Ino glowered from where she sat. I work my ass off to get through on my scholarship, so not only does a college dropout loser like you think I have the money to burn on meeting up with your dumbass in the real world, but you also want me to waste the precious time I allot for studying over my break to looking at your annoying face and enduring your stupidity. Kill yourself. Sakura, are you one of those tsundere I'm always hearing about? Because that was just cold. Choji muttered while stroking his goatee. Nah, man. Sakura acts more like she is Naruto's younger sister fed up with all his bullshit. Kiba laughed even as Naruto was comedically crying into Hinata's chest. In fact, she kind of reminds me of how my mom acted with my dad. You know, right before he tucked his tail between his legs and left her the first time. Too bad for him that she was a part of the Hunt and Capture International unit before they got married. Found his ass in 3 days flat and kept him mounted above the fireplace for a week. Even I must concur that Sakura's words and actions never quite match up. Peculiar, Shino adjusted his shades before turning toward Naruto, but I must remind you that I am indisposed at my current location and would be unable to make such a journey safely. Naruto gave a victory sign. No problem, Shino, my sickly bug-loving friend. Your folks and Fu already cleared it for both of you to make the trip whenever we plan it for. There are special rooms perfect to keep you and Fu safe from all the germs in the world or whatever. I don't think you quite understand my medical conditions, but I digress. If my parents and Fu have accepted this offer for in-person recreations, then it would be rude of me to decline. Especially since you've actually seemed to have worked this idea out. Alright, we got Shino on board. That makes me, Hinata, and Shino. Naruto turned to Choji with bright glowing effects in his eyes, signaling that he activated a cash shop item while no one was looking to appear more animated. How about you, Choji? Ah, sure. I've got nothing better to do. Choji said casually with a shrug. Yes. Gaara. He couldn't even get the words out as Gaara gave a thumbs up with his usual blank facial expression. We will be there. Even if I have to drag the corpses of my family members along. Especially Temari. If her laziness gets in the way, I'll kill her. Don't just say things like that. I'm your lovable big sister. Temari screamed, but the murderous look Gaara threw her made her flinch for only a second. That's it. I'm hiding all the knives and forks when we log out. And no pizza rolls for you. You were doing so well with no death threats, but you've gone and ruined it. And no, you can't take away the pizza rolls. Temari, I'm sorry. Gaara said slowly, clutching his head as he ached for the loss of his favorite snack. Still a weirdo, I see, geez, where does Naruto find these people? Sakura asked herself. Gaara and Temari are a go, so what about you Tenten? Well I have my cruise this next week, but you are right. I've worked really hard this year and deserve an even longer break. I'm in. Tenten and Naruto reached across the table for a high five. You know what? I'm in too if someone forks over a little cash. Or better yet, lets me crash at their place for the trip. Kiba gave a look over to Sakura, but she spat in his direction. No disgusting mud is gonna be breathing the air my scholarships pay for inside my house. Damn that was harsh, Kiba, I feel so bad for you after that you can mooch off me at my place for the trip. Sakura is just so cold ever since she got into that fancy school early. Fuck you, Choji. I work hard and study harder for the things I have. Kiba's even worse than Naruto because he at least wouldn't make my house smell like dog. Oh yeah, like his obvious ramen stick is any better. It's a lot better. At least it's the smell of cheap soul-sucking college food rather than leaving a place stinking like a petting zoo. I like my ramen smell. I do as well, Naruto-kun. It's okay. Besides, you didn't even smell like ramen when we met, so that just proves you can wash it off when you really need to every once in a while. Screw it, I'm in. Ino threw up her hands while smiling coyly. All this sounds like a murder waiting to happen with Gaara and half of us in the same city. But I'll pay good money just to see Sakura and Kiba in the same room. Betting pool says they either fight or fuck. You have no class, Ino pig. Forehead, I have all the class I need. Ino flipped her hair over her shoulder. Maybe that's why Sasuke was trying to slide into my DMs last week. Bitch, you dare. Sakura cracked the table with her grip, but it instantly repaired itself even as zero damage displayed. Sasuke is mine, and he would never go for a blonde bimbo like you. Keep telling yourself that, forehead. I'm sure your massage wand is getting pretty tired of pretending to be something it's not. Fuck, Ino, that was cold-blooded. Kiba high-fived Ino for her smooth diss. Then Naruto. And even Choji and Temari had to dab her off for that one. Tenten held up a sign that said 10 tenths. Ino. Sakura shouted, but Hinata shook her head while Naruto stood for everyone's attention. Oh, and one more thing. Naruto said, taking out a small handheld mirror from his inventory. For those not familiar, this is the cash shop item mirror of self reflection, and it'll change our avatars to reflect what we look like in real life. And why would we do that? We play this game to get away from real life. Ino groaned as SH stretched her body backward. Yeah, but the game is about to end. And, I think at least, that we've all become really good friends. Naruto declared strongly, almost from the very beginning of meeting each other, none of you have put on airs or fakeness. Aside from a few instances where we were rocking in the beginning, no one has been put forth an in-game personality the way other people try to be superheroes or villains in here. We've just always been us. Wait, Sakura butted in, her eyes slightly wide, so you mean to tell me that this has been you the same as outside in the real world? At the way Naruto was slowly nodding, Sakura slumped back into her chair, rubbing her temples. Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to move to a different country. There is no way I could deal with you actually being this retarded alongside Kiba. You shouldn't call people retarded, Sakura Haruno, Gaara muttered aloud, making the woman jump. Jesus Christ, I forgot about you. And who told you my full name? You did back when you first joined our guild. You introduced yourself as you really are in the real world by accident. I've just not forgotten. Gaara then leveled Sakura with a withering glare, nor have I forgotten about you in general. My doctor and Naruto say that as long as we are allies, I should let you live for the sake of our shared bonds of friendship and camaraderie. But you have never shown me friendship, only camaraderie. That is why, if you ever betray Naruto or this guild, I'll kill you. Naruto laughed awkwardly as he got between Sakura and Gaara in a flash, backhanding the wave of sand his retreat friend was sending toward the college girl. Ha 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 ha, Gaara is such a prankster. We're all friends here, right? Even if Sakura doesn't show it a lot by being nice, she is a bit of a tsundere like Choji said. I shall research this, Gaara said before opening an internet tab and searching for the term used. Sakura, if you value your life, you will agree with whatever he finds. Naruto whispered harshly to the young woman, who was still shaken as now even Temari was at her other side. Yeah, Gaara is a bit unstable, but there's no reason to be mean to him. Especially since we know he's willing to slice people up. Ino shrugged, from hanging around my dad's office and the family's therapy clinic, I say it's best to always be nice to the crazies because you never want one as your enemy. That's right. And as someone who sleeps 2 doors down from him since he was in diapers, I am telling you not to get him riled up. Temari commanded, her eyes constantly darting to Gaara who now had Shino, Choji, and Hinata looking over his shoulder to see what he was looking up. My family and I might have put in safety measures to keep him from doing unspeakable things to people in this game that the devs couldn't possibly account for, but those will only keep you safe in this game. Your best shot at not being murdered as you least expected is to nod your fucking head and play nice with him. He's learned where the lines are in the sand, but, well, you know as well as the rest of us about him and sand. I have concluded my research. Gaara spoke up suddenly, making all the other members of the guild jump and flinch for a second. All except for Naruto, who only bounced over to his murderous friend with glee and sparkle effects. So, what did you find? Naruto asked as though Gaara's answer could save the world. It would seem that the term of tsundere you and Choji have used to describe Sakura, it means a process of character development where a character with an initially cold temperamental, hot-headed and sometimes even hostile personality gradually becomes much warmer and friendlier over time. Intriguing, I would say that fits Sakura to the letter. Shino agreed. Yes, as it seems she is still in the phase of being openly hostile and angry with most of us. Also, because of her previous mentions of being from Japanese descent, it would seem that she is trying to connect to her cultural roots through this method of display. Gaara bowed his head. I must apologize to you, Sakura Haruno. I thought you were being hostile out of spite, but now I see that you are simply a guarded creature who does not give her heart easily to others. You are simply expressing your friendship in a different manner, and my doctor says that I must respect all forms of emotional expression, even when I do not understand them. If her character could sweat, it would have soaked her by now with the way Gaara's eyes were boring into her. Do you accept my apology? Yes, thank you, Gaara. Good. Gaara then looked at Temari expectantly. Fine, you little brat. You can get your damn pizza rolls after we log out and go grocery shopping in the morning. Yay. Gaara cheered with a surprising amount of cheer in his voice before he began singing to himself. Totino's. Totino's, hot pizza rolls. Totino's. Totino's, everybody's talking about Totino's. Totino's, hot pizza rolls. Totino's. Totino's, everybody's talking about. Okay, back to the mirror then, Naruto said as he and the others turned away from Gaara, but they all jumped as they had turned away too soon. Everyone does it. I want to know what my friends look like before I meet them on this trip. You all do it, or I kill you. You can't keep threatening to murder us. They all shouted back, but Gaara didn't back down. Do it. He said, then immediately went back to singing about pizza rolls. -0:05 and 27 seconds, -0:05 and 23 seconds, -0:05 and 19 seconds, -0:05 and 15 seconds, -0:05 and 11 seconds, -0:05 and 7 seconds, -0:05 and 3 seconds, -0:04 and 59 seconds. Ino sighed, the roller coaster of energy in the room leaving her with a slight mental fatigue. Let's just get this over with. The game shuts down in 5 minutes anyway. Might as well have a look at my true beauty so you're all not so caught off guard by it in person. Naruto looked around to the others and the only one who seemed a little bothered was Sakura. But since she wasn't objecting vocally, he decided to take the plunge for her as he put the mirror in the middle of the table and smashed it with his bandaged fist just to look cool. The shards of the mirror turned to dust and flew out into the room until they reflected light enough to blind everyone and every corner of the space. When it was done, Naruto was only slightly surprised to see that the changes to most of them were very minimal. The girls were quickly trying to switch outfits that would complement their real-world appearances. He knew he himself had not changed at all aside from his hair being a little long and messier, since he really didn't like to cut it very often. Hinata was still the same, though Naruto saw she was quickly reapplying her pupil-less Byakugan eye textures over her real gray eyes. Hinata never liked that her family had a strange eye defect where their gray eyes appeared blind. Naruto didn't care. In fact, he thought it made her special and cool, like an anime character. She was still a slender woman of fair complexion with dark midnight blue hair that she kept in a princess or Haim style, as she referred to it in Japanese culture. Her hair was long enough to reach her lower back and the framing strands fell onto her shoulders. Her clothes remained the same though as she wore a loose-fitting, lavender and cream-headed jacket with lavender cuffs over mesh armor. She also wears navy blue pants and black low-heeled sandals. Kiba appeared as much a mutt as ever, so there was no surprise there that the only change to his egoistical appearance was the addition of his scruffy, unshaven facial hair. He had messy brown hair, sharp black eyes which quickly turned to vertical slit-like pupils with pronounced canine teeth growing, and nails that he could change into claws, all thanks to his racial levels in Dog Demon and Greater Dog Demon. He also has the distinctive red fang markings on his cheeks, often saying they were the symbol of his family, the Inyazuka clan. Kiba wore a form-fitting black leather jacket with zips over the chest and sleeves, along with black pants and sandals, also zipped, matching the jacket. Sakura was fumbling through menu screens in an attempt to hide her long pink hair, not realizing that Ino was using a special lantern that was keeping Sakura from changing her appearance. Sakura has fair skin, green eyes, and her unusual bubblegum pink hair from a recent rebellious hair dye. Dear God, you should be more focused on that atrocious outfit of yours rather than your disastrous dye job. Honestly, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this, but you're dressed like you've recently discovered your love of being a lesbian biker. Ino cackled at her own joke. Sakura's typical avatar outfit was functional, but still far from stylish. It consisted of a red kipao dress top without sleeves and slits along the sides, accompanied by a zipper and white circular design. Accompanying this were black gloves, low heel, knee-high boots, black shorts underneath a short pink apron skirt, and pink elbow protectors. Sakura carrying a medical pouch, and on her forehead was a job class-specific violet rhombus from the rare class of Heavenly Healer. Oh, shut your mouth, Ino pig. Joji still looked very much the same, though he seemed to have grown a little fatter. Same hairstyle, eye color, everything. Ino's skin changed from dark to fair skin as her eyes went from dark purple to a light blue. Her hair was long waist-length platinum blonde hair, worn in a ponytail with bangs framing the right side of her face. Ino also had a very shapely figure in her revealing purple outfit consisting of a high-collared blouse exposing her midriff, matching apron skirt, and wearing mesh armor on her thighs, elbows, and knees. She also wears hoop earrings, high-heeled sandals, and pink lipstick. At least I'm not dressed like a slut, both in and out of this stupid game. Shino looked very pale and sickly with his bushy dark brown hair, but didn't seem to shift or flinch away from the attention on him. His eyes were still hidden behind his dark-round sunglasses. He wore a gray jacket with a high upturned collar, brown pants, and blue shinobi sandals. Damari equipped her avatar with her tiara once again since it disappeared in the mirror's effect, though now her elf ears were gone, as she wasn't letting them come back on. She has teal eyes and sandy blonde hair, which is gathered into 4 consecutive pigtails. Tamari's outfit was something Naruto had only seen in an anime, but he couldn't remember where or which show it was on. It was a white and crimson violet patterned kimono. Hey. That's from Inuyasha, ain't it? Kiba was out of his seat the moment he recognized what Tamari had changed her avatar into. Oh yeah, I really like the design style and powers of the Kagura woman, so when the game had its 20th update a couple years back, I got this on the cheap. Tamari said, standing out of her own chair to give a little twirl in her Kagura cosplay. I really like the character and mostly modeled my character build around her and other wind users. Naruto snapped his fingers with a curse. I knew you and Kiba got inspiration from somewhere. I just couldn't put my finger on it since I haven't actually watched anime in years. Kiba chuckled. Yeah, well, I mostly based my stuff off of Inuyasha, Sesshomaru, and Koga from the show. The animal taming aspects came from somewhere else. I just really like dogs, you know, but I knew I had to still be helpful to the guild, even with my own interests on the side. Well, he was still Garrett, spiky red hair, soul-stealing green eyes, and dark circles around his eyes from lack of sleep. He wore a black bodysuit with an open neck, t-shirt-like sleeves, and almost full-length leggings. With this, he wears a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips. He has a wide leather band from his left shoulder to his right hip with which he carries his sand gourd. The only thing Gaara changed about his appearance is a tattoo over the left side of his forehead, which Hinata once told them all was the kanji for love. Tenten, however, had her entire appearance change as she went from a muscular tall and busty woman to one of completely average, everything. Tenten's black hair turned brown, and her piercing ice blue eyes turned into dark gray. The weapons woman worked quickly with deft fingers to get herself into some semblance of order as everyone watched her comedically panic. She fixed her unkempt hair into 2 Chinese-style buns on her head with short fringe bangs framing her face. As for outfits, Naruto was more than a little amused that Tenten had chosen to appear as a Chun-Li knockoff from the Street Fighter series, a game which was still insanely popular, especially now with augmented reality being a thing for PvP fighting games. Wears a blue kipao with golden accents, which Naruto knew from Tenten and Rock Lee beforehand, was a Chinese dress imported over from Manchuria that became popular among girls during the early 20th century, though just like Chun-Li the outfit was much shorter than the normal kipao. She also wears white combat boots around calf length, large black steel spiked bracelets, and a blue leotard. Just from where he was sitting, Naruto could tell that Tenten's avatar had on dark brown sheer pantyhose and a blue thong underneath her kipao. Please don't look at it too critically, guys, it was already the first thing queued up in my presets from the Street Fighters 3000 tournament last month. Tenten mumbled in embarrassment, but still had too much pride to change out of the outfit now that she was wearing it. Hiba gave a thumbs up, and Naruto copied the motion, since Tenten did look very nice in it. Even if her real-life appearance didn't quite fill out the cosplay as much as her self-made avatar had beforehand. What about you, Naruto? Tenten asked, trying to deflect. Why didn't you change in the slightest? Does the item not affect the user? Ha. As if. I am Naruto Uzumaki, Dadabayo. What you see is what you get, and I've never really wanted to be anyone aside from my already amazing self. Well, there's a surprise. Tenten leaned over to Temari to mutter aloud. You gals really weren't lying just to be nice. He actually is kind of handsome. Boy. Don't make me out to be some kind of troll under a bridge. What were you expecting? Naruto shouted in anger even as Tenten shrugged. Honestly. Short, beer gut, and maybe balding in your early 20s. You spiteful bitch. And here I thought you were cool, Tenten. Ha. Told you, Ten. Ino leaned back with her feet up on the table. Once Hinata and Temari shared some early photos of him, I put my plan into action. That's why I've been using him as my stand-in boyfriend all this time to keep the real creeps and pervs away. Well, that, and because I didn't want anyone I actually knew in real life to think I was dating Choji or Shikamaru. I mean, like, you. Gross. They're practically my brothers or cousins at this point. Naruto jumped slightly as two windows appeared in front of his avatar. They were both player marriage requests. One from Tenten and the other from Temari. Tenten was blushing slightly as she wiggled her fingers at him, but Temari was full on smirking as she licked her lips. Hinata. Naruto turned to his kind of online girlfriend with the windows. Help. Okay. Hinata chirped happily, pressing the buttons with his fingers. No. Naruto screamed in horror, you were supposed to turn them down, not accept. Decline. Reserve. Full counter. Something. Hinata only giggled at his overdramatic dismay. Calm down, Naruto-kun. It's only a game, for now. You're evil, Hinata. Pure evil. And to me no less. Naruto curled up on the floor in despair. He could barely keep up with Hinata's playful and shy sides. Then there was Ino, who was bossy and also very soft on the inside. He couldn't handle any more women until he learned how to properly navigate life with just them. Hinata was really starting to take the sister wives joke too far now. And the worst part of it all was that all of this joke and all was entirely his own fault from a comment he made years ago. Geez, I never figured you two to be such loose women, Sakura said, crossing her arms under her now small breasts. She missed her big-breasted avatar already. It's just a game, Sakura. Tenten waved her pink-haired friend aside. All the marriage does is reveal a bit more information about each other. Stuff like partner location, phone number, and a few other personal details. And besides, this game is about to shut down in a few minutes anyway. The slate will be wiped clean, and just like my last trip to Las Vegas in the USA, I will be a divorced woman once more, and the marriage will be wiped away as if it never existed. Everyone went silent. We so need to hear about that story. Choji said as everyone, even Gaara, nodded in agreement. Sure, I'll spill the beans. But only once we all meet up in real life. I say first drinks are on Naruto's dime since he is our gracious host. Yes, to our fearless blonde leader. Wah. I knew there was a reason I continued to follow you, Naruto Uzumaki. Not you too, Shino. Ugh, enough. Sakura shook her head, I still say marriage, fake or not game or not, is something to be considered seriously. Oh please, Ms. Pretty in Pink. If that Sasuke Uchiha guy were in this game, you'd be all over him. Yeah, that's right. Don't judge us if you'd be no better in the situation with that guy. Even if he does look really hot from those pictures you showed us and the NPC you created. I bet you would have jumped his bones if he ever joined this game. Hey. You can't compare a little cute Naruto to the handsome gentleman that is my Sasuke. Shino adjusted his shades lightly. As I've stated before, there is still every chance and probability that Sasuke Uchiha did indeed partake in this game. Possibly even from day one, and none of us would have been aware of his presence in the slightest. Ha. That's where you're wrong, Shino. Sakura struck a victorious pose. You see, I have a data hack into all of Sasuke's internet using devices. So, I know for a fact that he's never even downloaded this game, much less played it. The silence in the room was deafening. -0:01 and 27 seconds, -0:01 and 23 seconds, -0:01 and 19 seconds, -0:01 and 15 seconds, -0:01 and 11 seconds, -0:01 and 7 seconds, -0:01 and 3 seconds, -0 o'clock and 59 seconds. Himari slowly brought up a window and dialed into it. Hello? Police. Yes, I'd like to report a stalker in New York City. Don't even joke like that, you sun-bleached blonde. Sakura yelled. That is very creepy, Sakura Haruno, and I am the one saying this, Gaara spoke in his usual monotone. I don't need that coming from you, you literal Norman Bates. Hey. Don't talk to them like that. Especially if you're the one being a creepy stalker for some guy you barely even talk to. Earl. Me and Sasuke talk. Ino snorted. Yeah, him asking to borrow your notes or being forced to do a group assignment doesn't really count, forehead. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Sakura covered her eyes as tears began to form. I hate to admit it, but you're right. We don't talk anymore. When we were younger he was so nice, but now. Maybe you should ask him to play the sequel game with us, Sakura-chan. Hinata suggested timidly, her eyes flickering to Naruto every now and then. I know it's hard, but you have to put forth a real and massive effort to make the one you admire notice you. Then, if he feels the same way, love is bound to bloom between you two. Well that, or he'll be the one calling the police, Naruto muttered, but Sakura threw an unrefined chunk of moonstone at his head from her inventory. Fuck you, Naruto baka. Cha, bitch. Sakura felt her eye twitching madly. What the fuck is going on here? She asked to herself as she and the others watched a giant dog barge into the meeting room and begin to lick Kiba's face, sending drool everywhere. Wait, drool. Ugh, gross. Tenten wiped away at the drool, even as her eyes widened in shock and surprise. Keep that mud of yours under control. And why is he so lifelike all of a sudden? Himari turned to Choji with questions in her eyes. Did the game update or automatically turn into a sequel? Who the fuck cares? Kiba laughed, even as he was knocked out of his chair and onto the ground where his giant dog playfully wrestled against him. This all feels so real. Akamaru is real. I have a real dog. This is the best. Akamaru was a dog that easily resembled a Great Pyrenees with white fur, a brown button nose, and cute floppy dog ears with a golden earring through his left ear. The game's clock reads that it's 5 minutes after midnight. Choji announced. I noticed when we didn't get kicked out after the end of term closure, but everyone was so busy fussing with Sakura, so. Oh, who gives a fuck? Come here, buddy. That's a good dog. Kiba tumbled around with Akamaru, giving the dog belly rubs and behind the ear scratches. I always wanted a dog, but my mom thought I was too irresponsible to have one. Ha. Well now I've got you, buddy. Ino rolled her eyes. Geez, Kib. It's just a dog. You act like an Instagram model just walked through the door. The meeting room doors banged open again, and all eyes turned. Shino let out a shocked gasp. A petite androgynous tan-skinned young woman ran in with orange hair clips in her mint green hair that matched her large and expressive orange eyes. Her outfit was in the style of shinobi, but it was a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet underneath, long wide armlets, and fishnet short under a short white apron skirt. Her identifying metal headband was worn on her right arm. Fu, is that why you? Shino breathed shakily, rising to his feet in an instant as Fu came to a stop in front of the assembled guild. I am so sorry masters. Fu said, trying her best to catch her breath quickly. He just got away from me all of a sudden. Akamaru, you know better than to interrupt the supreme beings while they meet in here. Akamaru whimpered lowly as he was being scolded, letting Kiba up off the floor while the others were staring at Fu. Half of them quirked a brow at the term supreme beings, but brushed it off since now two NPCs were interacting with them in ways beyond their wildest imaginations. She looks about the same, Naruto scrunched up his nose while scratching at his chin. You know, aside from the sickness and constant hospital gown. Maybe this really is Fu. Of course I'm really Fu, Lord Naruto. Fu sighed as though she dealt with this every day. Naruto waved her off after those words. Nah, Fu would never in her life call me lord of anything aside from ramen and the blondes of the world. The one claiming to be Fu in front of them, however, simply rolled her eyes as Akamaru came to her side. She gently ruffled his fur, seeming to already forgive the enormous canine for his earlier transgressions. Well, since we're here. Is there anything we could do to be of service to you, masters? Fu presented herself to them in the same way a high-class waitress or maid would, standing formally and bowing a little at the end of her query. Wait, if you two are super lifelike, then that means, Ino tried to access the menu, but it wasn't working. She scoffed at herself. Of course, if the game was broken and they were trapped inside, or if it was a sequel, or even if everything around them had somehow become real, nothing would work as it had before. Ugh, I can't use the menu. And I don't know how to log out. The forced log out function isn't working either. Gaara commented as he did the weird and extremely awkward pose that would enable the troubleshooting menu no matter what MORP game one was playing. It would seem that we are trapped and this table feels cold to the touch. Naruto rubbed his chin, scratching it. Then he licked the table. Then the back of Hinata's hand, causing her to squirm a little and hop out of her seat. Yup, this place is as real as can be. You taste really good, Hinata. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she retook her seat. Shino-san, I think you should attend to Fu, she is looking directly at you, after all. Shino shook himself out of his stupor, even as he continued to stare at the mint-haired girl in front of him. We are real, I can breathe, I'm not in pain. Fu smiled, and to Shino it was breathtaking. Of course, Beetleberg. Come here, please then, I just need to know. With all my senses, Shino spoke slowly, holding out his arms shakily. Fu rushed into his waiting arms, the two embracing as though they had not seen each other in years. I don't know what's gotten into you or the others, Shino, but this isn't a dream. It never has been. She couldn't see it, but tears were already streaming down from behind Shino's shades. You just don't know how long I've been dreaming about this day, Fu, you just don't know. Oh, that's kind of sweet. Tenten cooed while the others agreed. But I'd just like to ask, what the hell are we doing just sitting around? We are literally trapped inside this damn game. I know, right, Sakura replied. Naruto and the others kind of just shrugged at the two screeching women. There's kind of nothing we can do, Dadabayo. Naruto admitted as he took Hinata's hand in his own, rubbing gentle circles into the back of it. The menu isn't working. Can't call it GM. We're either stuck in a game that shut down 10 minutes ago, or this stuff became real. Well, how do we test that theory? Tenten sighed, rubbing her temples so as not to develop a headache. I could kick Naruto in his family jewels if that helps. Sakura put forth innocently, but then glared at the blonde boy. After all, if either situation is true, then it's his stupid fault we're all stuck in this game. Or somehow merged with it as it became real. As per the laws of human nature and bro code, I'm going to vote against any man having to get kicked in the balls. For science or otherwise. Kiba retorted, crossing his arms as he was back in his chair with his feet up on the table. Though that train of thought ain't a bad one to follow. There were certain rules inside the game that couldn't be broken no matter what. Laws of gaming that every game had to follow, or else they wouldn't even make it to a public play test. Tamari snapped her fingers. That's right. Biggest one was the separation between adult-rated and public games. If a company sold even one public game, then they could never make an adult-rated game under the same brand. That means that if someone does an action considered adult in this game, then we'd know if we were just stuck in a game or somehow got our sorry asses isekai'd to a new world. All eyes turned to Shino, who was still sitting, though now had his hands interlaced with Fu's own hands. I understand what is being asked of me, but what about the consequences? Shino turned to Naruto, who was all shrugs today. Either you can't do it because it's still a prohibited action, or, well, Fu knocks your teeth down your throat. I like my teeth. They were the only part of me that wasn't filled with sickness. Just do it. Ino snapped, getting nervous and impatient. I could summon pleasing mirror, but he doesn't have genitals. As if summoned by the mere mention, a silvery slime substance rose out from the floor and formed into a pale boy with a beauty mark near his top lip. It had short, straight black hair and dark inky black eyes. As it formed into a person, clothes appeared to form on its body as it wore a short black and grey jacket with red straps, a high-collared midriff shirt, black pants, shinobi sandals, and gloves with the index and thumb fingers exposed. You summoned me, mistress. The now fully formed human-looking silver slime intoned in an emotionless drawl. Ugh, Ino groaned, pinching the bridge of her nose in an annoyed fashion. I regret making you now with that personality. At least you're sexy to look at when you take the Psy form. Tenten looked at Ino oddly. That is what you call sexy? What? He's still hot, just in a different way. Like, lonely boy in a smoke-filled room desperate to pay the bills with his art or his body kind of sexy. Tenten, Hinata, Tamari and Sakura scrutinized Sai down to the tiniest detail with their eyes, and each began to slowly nod their head as they understood what Ino was talking about. I am glad to have the approval of my mistress, as well as that of all the ladies of the supreme beings. Sai spoke, though he did not show an ounce of appreciation beyond his words. His face was still as blank as a fresh canvas. Ugh, stop talking. You ruin the aesthetic when you talk. Ino put her head down on the table, slowly remembering that he was not the worst NPC she had created. Oh, the horrors they would face if this game had become reality. Shino, we need you to take one for the team, bud. Kiba said, then got up with Naruto as they shared a look. Both crouched slightly, assuming a lunging position. Plus, if she tries to kill you, we'll buy you enough time to escape. Give her time to cool down afterward. Fu rolled her eyes. I'm right here, you know, Lord Kiba. If you all need anything of me, then all you have to do is ask. Then, perhaps, you'll do me the honor of. Shino's face was becoming very red, and he was beginning to sweat. Fu smiled at him as though his awkward embarrassment was charming to her. She placed a gentle hand to his cheek, stroking it gently. Whatever you need, Shino. She spoke gently, making him shudder. Fu blinked, her eyes slowly widening in surprise. Shino was touching her breasts. He had reached out a hand toward her as though to give her a side hug, but had in fact grabbed hold of her small left boob. Shino felt stupid as the slightly resistance of her clothes gave way to new sensations he had never experienced, especially when he could feel something very soft yet firm under his fingertips. This is reality, Shino said with a small hitch to his voice. Great, glad you're having fun over there. Tamari grumbled as she saw Fu's expression go from surprise to bright red. Really wish I had a guy that would just cop a tit. You don't have to tell me twice. Kiba said, but Tamari shot him a look. Not in 100 years. If this game really has become our new world, then you probably reek of dog even worse than you did before. Sorry to say Kiba, but you've actually gone down in terms of hottest now. Especially since you'll probably be spending a lot of time getting fur hairs on your clothes and everywhere else as you play with Akamaru until the foreseeable future. Kiba snapped his fingers, rats. Cock-blocked by my own lifelong wish. Oh well, your concerns are understandable since I will be treating my new buddy for life like we are twins separated at birth for the rest of my days. Understandable, have a good day. Tamari was about to continue with a barb about how Akamaru was probably the cleaner of the two, but she stopped when they all saw Fu lock lips with the surprised Shino. The girl was just climbing into his lap and straddling him as though they were actors in a cheap porno. Holy shit, Choji said, even as he reached for his bag of chips with all the talk about the game now being real. Woohoo. Get you some, Shino. Naruto cheered. Put your hands to the back of her head. Deepen the kiss. Take control. Kiba shouted, and Shino seemed to hear him as he followed the instructions, albeit very slowly. Fu then wrapped her arms around Shino's neck and her legs around his waist. Damn, even the damn NPCs are getting more than me right now, Tenten bemoaned. You and me both, sister, Tamari tacked on while stealing some of Choji's chips. Are they going to come up for air sometime soon? Ino asked while watching. I'm starting to get breathless for them. Yes, Ino, that's why you're breathless. Sakura quipped in her retort, but it had no heat since she, like all the others, were distracted by the display. Shino stood up and Fu instantly untangled herself from him, though they did not break the kissing. Oh my, Hinata covered her mouth with her hand. This is more impressive than the internet videos. Gaara said as he blinked. I've never seen two people keep their mouths together for so long. It's called kissing, Gaara. And you'll discover it when you're older. Naruto joked, but then began snapping his fingers to gain Shino and Fu's attention. Alright, newlyweds, break it up. Game might be real, but you still need to come up for air sometime soon. Shino was the one to break the kissing, though Fu tried her best to follow him. However, all she ended up doing was kissing at his neck and the corners of his mouth. I have no regrets. None at all right now. This is the best thing to ever happen in my life. Even counting the time, I found a rare blue-hued red scorpion in the Arizona desert. We know, Shino. We know and we understand. We fully support your new and budding relationship with this NPC you created. New. Fu finally stopped kissing her bug-loving boy for a bit to throw a confused look around the room. None of this is new, masters. Beetleberg and I have loved each other for years now. You have? The others asked incredulously. We have. Shino asked, though Fu pouted cutely. Yeah, Shino, are you sure you're feeling alright? Fu checked his temperature with the back of his hand against his forehead. No fever. Ah well, nothing a little Fu-loving can't cure. A little what? Shino asked, but then found himself being dragged away toward the only entrance and exit of the door. Fu ignored him in favor of bowing toward Naruto and then immediately taking Shino away from the room. I apologize for this, Lord Naruto, but Beetleberg needs some immediate bed rest. I'm afraid he's somehow forgot about my love for him and our entire relationship. So it's up to me to remind him of it all, night and day, long. Shino's eyes were probably widening behind his sunglasses at the implications of that statement, but Naruto was waving them away as though they were on a farewell cruise. You go. And maybe Godspeed be with you. Naruto said, a single tear leaving him. Be gentle with him. It's his first time. Treat him with kindness as he's in your care now. Choji also waved them goodbye. Be sure he doesn't leave that bed for anything other than water breaks. And please make sure to rock his world. Kiba put forth, wiping tears out of his own eyes. Shino needs this. Ino said with her arms crossed under her breasts. No, he deserves it. The others all agreed, though Hinata and Sakura chose to not voice this verbally, but instead did so with only a nod. Sakura, though she agreed, was also now giving them all weird looks. Wait a minute. Why are we all just suddenly okay with this? We've been isekai'd, damn it. Ugh, this is so not cool. I had medical exams to study for. My scholarships. My internship. All of it gone. As a single tear threatened to fall from Sakura's eye, a finger was there to capture it while another hand lifted up her chin. There she saw the most beautiful man in all her years. He had dark onyx eyes that pierced her heart. Spiky black hair that in the right light seemed tinged with a blue tint hanging over his face as bangs. His fair skin seemed as well cared for like that of a superstar male model. He wore simple clothes like a purple short-sleeved jacket over a black undershirt, mossy green combat pants, and a pair of shinobi sandals that extended over his ankles. Around his neck hung a silver necklace with the Uchiha clan crest on golden plate, and on his wrist was a bracelet on his left arm, which bore her own Haruno family crest. Sakura, love of my undeserving life, one I hold most precious in all the world, beauty with no rival aside from those ladies who sit beside you, and even still they don't quite compare. What has brought this salty bittersweet tear to your eye? Lover Sasuke, her personally created NPC, inquired as he took the tear between his parted lips and like something out of an era manga, he sucked it down and on his finger. Sakura fell back out of her seat with a girlish squeal, but Lover Sasuke caught her in a bridal princess fashion, gazing into her eyes with all the love in the world. Holy fuck. I love this new world. All hail the isekai life. Sakura shouted joyously as Sasuke gave her a single chaste kiss on the lips. She began to giggle like a madman as she covered her creation in the likeness of the boy she loved most with many kisses, even as her hands began to fondle every part of him she could reasonably reach. Sasuke took all this in stride, continuing to lavish Sakura in compliments and praises that seemed just too over the top. Well, fuck. Wish I had made a couple of those back in the day, Tamari grouched, who did I make actually? Think I spent most of my time recreating my family as a bunch of gag characters. Well, I at least know most of the guys I made in here are attractive. At least, they should be to me. Tenten tapped at her chin. I remember having the nasty habit of seeing a guy I liked come into my shop for a replica weapon and then logging on here to make them into a swordsman or something. Oh shit, that means, Kiba was slowly rising from his chair again, though this time Akamaru was bounding at his side. All those hot chicks I made are real. And they must all love me. Doji crossed his arms. Depends on if they still have whatever you wrote as their backstories. But probably, yeah, they'll be in love with you if that's what you wrote. Fuck yeah. Praise be to the almighty isekai. Hinata was smiling towards Sakura and lover Sasuke. I'm just glad that Sakura, in a way, gets to be with the man she loves. She deserves that much, I think. Especially with all the help she's been to us over the last few years. So pretty boy lives, Naruto pondered as he snapped his fingers. Two shadows dropped down from the ceiling. The first was a young boy with short spiky brown hair, blue eyes, a long blue scarf around his neck, and both arms wrapped in bandages. His clothing consisted of gray pants and a yellow shirt with a red Konoha leaf symbol printed on it, a pale green jacket with a dark green stripe down the middle, and blue shinobi sandals. The second was a much older man, who was both tall and well built with fair skin. He had waist-length spiky white hair tied back into a ponytail, with two shoulder-length bangs framing his face. There were red lines under his eyes, going all the way to the bottom of his face. He had wrinkles around the corners of his mouth and a wart on the left side of his nose. He had a tattoo on his left palm. The man's attire consisted of a short green shirt kimono and matching pants, under which he wore mesh armor that was visible at his wrists and ankles. He also wore hand guards, a black belt, traditional Japanese wooden Jetta sandals, and a red haori with two yellow circles on each side. He carried a large scroll on his back and he wore a horned forehead protector with the kanji for oil on it. Konohamaru, Jiraiya, Naruto's throat was actually a little dry at seeing the two smiling back at him. How's it hanging? Pretty good, boss. Konohamaru gave him a thumbs up, showing to be just as bratty and cheerful as he was in real life. Naruto my boy, I'd do better if you gave me a few lovely ladies, purely for inspiration in my research of course. Jiraiya grabbed Naruto round the neck with his arm, bringing the blonde in close. Come on, kid. I'm running dry here. Can't you send me some of those homunculus maids from up on the 9th floor? Or maybe tell a few of the women in Konoha village or even in my own area of Tenzaku town to pay me some mind. Ugh ghh, get off me you dirty old perv. Naruto was regretting this already, especially once Konohamaru joined in with begging for both women and candy. I can't help you if you can't even help yourself. What about me, boss? I need more sexy ladies for my training. How am I going to start teaching Nawaki the sexy jutsu if all I have to work with is old lady Kaharu and flat-chested Hanabi as my muses? The fuck you say, monkey boy? Hanabi had appeared, landing atop the table. She looked very much like Hinata except her hair was chestnut brown and tied into a low ponytail, with a white ribbon that reaches down to the middle of her back, with two shorter strands of hair in the front with pink ribbons at the ends. Hanabi also had a pink flower hair clip attached to her hair on the left side. She had large pale lilac-tinted eyes, a trait shared by her, Hinata, and Neji as he arrived stepping out from Hinata's shadow. Hanabi wore a tan-colored, long-sleeved kimono shirt with red-orange flames designed on it with a matching knee-length skirt, along with a wide obi around her waist. You heard me. Konohamaru snapped back, but then sighed to release his anger. I like you, Hanabi. You're really pretty and all, but you just don't have what I'm looking for to improve the sexy jutsu gratefully handed down to me by Lord Naruto. I need to find the curviest women in all of Konoha so I can perfect the technique and then pass on its wisdom properly to Nawaki. You understand, right? I have to look at curvy luscious women. For the good of Konoha's future. Why you? Hanabi was held back by Neji. Princess Hanabi, please control yourself. Neji struggled to hold back the teenage girl. He had fair skin, long dark brown hair, and the same featureless lavender tint wide eyes as Hinata and Hanabi. Neji wore a white kimono shirt with long, loose sleeves, matching pants, a navy gray apron tied around his waist, and black sandals. He tied his hair back in a loose ponytail tied a few inches above the end. He wore a black forehead protector. Fighting in front of the supreme beings is not only uncouth but vulgar and impolite as well. No Neji. Let me go. I'll kill him for looking at other women when we're supposed to be engaged. Hanabi roared, flailing about as she tried to claw at Konohamaru, who didn't appear bothered at all by her murderous aura. I'm only following the path as laid before me by our masters. It can't be helped if that offends the princess. He said, then threw a smirk over to Naruto and Jiraiya. Don't worry, guys. Even if it lands me 10,000 beatings from the princess of the Konoha and the Hyuga clan, I will find the sexiest ladies alive and study them intensely. For the honor and glory of Konoha. Jiraiya was wild with joy, that's our boy. A prodigy of our noble ways on the path of the super pervert. Naruto could only sigh as he watched all this going on. He saw Sakura being lifted bridal style by Sasuke, who gave them all a smile as he informed them that he was taking their pink-haired guildmate away to feed her chocolate-covered strawberries in her lavish suite up on the 9th floor. They disappeared with a swirl of black flame. Then the doors to the meeting room opened again as Kankuro the puppet master, legendary Tsunade, and Asuma the chain smoker entered the room. Damn loud and noisy brats everywhere. God, how I hate these kids. Wish they'd all just grow up already. Kankuro grumbled as he entered and stood behind Temari. Sounds just like our brother. Wouldn't you say, Gaara? She looked over to her redheaded brother, who nodded in agreement. Then the gourd on his back popped open, pouring out sand that looked like a young woman. Merely say the word, my beautiful son, and I shall murder them all, my special boy, the sand woman whispered loudly and sweetly into Gaara's ear. Bitch, you're not our mom. You don't even look like her. Temari had to be held back by Kankuro, who appeared equally as annoyed with the NPC known as Mother Sand. You look like that damn Mitsuri girl we caught Gaara trying to slice up in their twisted game of doctor back when he had an overnight observation at the psych hospital. Crazy bitch. Mother Sand ignored the blonde in favor of rubbing her cheek against Gaara's like it was soft as a baby's bottom. I could certainly go for a drink right now, eh? Tsunade got chummy with Tenten, who had stars and sparkles in her eyes, since now her idol in real life was her faithful NPC creation. Care to join me for a bit? Maybe also hit up one of the gambling dens in Tanzaku town on the 4th floor before I open the clinic in a few hours. Yes ma'am. I'd love that. Tenten quickly got up and followed her idol out the room. Guess that means your meeting is over, huh? Asuma said while flicking the butt of a cigarette away. Then remembering better of himself as he caught it midair and put it in his pocket. Sorry, old habits, masters. I keep forgetting not to smoke inside the Choji. Why are you crying? Choji was bawling his eyes out as he looked up at Asuma. No reason. Choji shouted before barreling into the man with a bear hug. Asuma could only chuckle awkwardly as he accepted the hug, but over Choji's shoulder, he sent a curious look to the remaining guild members. There he saw that Ino had a hand over her mouth and was crying openly as well, though Sai was periodically wiping away at her tears like a dutiful butler. You kind of died in real life. Naruto supplied to the man, not seeing the point of lying or holding back information from the NPCs. You got shanked in an alley fight by some crazy guy and died in the hospital like an hour right after talking to Choji, Shikamaru, and Ino. It was really sad. Is that all? Asuma didn't really know what to say. I don't really remember that, I remember dying in my fight against Hidan the Jashin priest, but you kids revived me a week later after tracking him down and killing him. From what I remember, Shikamaru did that while you, Lord Naruto, killed Hidan's partner in crime named Kakazu. You're right on the money there, Asuma. Jiraiya informed, though those two didn't get the merciful release of death from these little monsters we call master. They were revived and tortured for weeks on end for information. Then killed again. Then revived and tortured even further into serving our glorious Konoha. Jiraiya is correct. They and several others serve on the 5th floor's moonlit forest, having formed the group known as Akatsuki. Neji supplied more information as Asuma patted Choji on the back, then also accepted Ino into the hug. Okay, now this is just getting weird. Naruto clapped his hands twice to get everyone's attention. What he wasn't expecting was for the NPCs to all immediately face him and go down on a knee like a bunch of robot knights at his disposal. Let's just pick this up later. I mean, we're all kind of going off in our ways as it is, and I'm more than a little curious what the guild is like now that everything is real. Naruto shared a look with Hinata, but Hanabi was already shooting him a glare as the girl hugged onto her sister's opposite side. Plus, I think everyone wants to spend some time with the special people they've made. Ino and Choji dried their tears as they finally regarded Naruto with grateful smiles. Though, gotta say this wasn't how I thought my night would end. Naruto chuckled openly, now what was that saying again? Something about not being in Kansas, right? The others groaned at the idiotic blonde and his antics. I am not doing it. Naruto balked, going slightly pale as the women of the guild stared at him. What if I teleport into a different dimension filled with muscled guys who want my sweet boy buns? Fenton whacked him over the head with a large paper fan pulled from her inventory. Be serious for once in your life, damn it. We know we're inside the game, but we need to check all the other systems to be sure we can protect ourselves, or at least be able to escape any trouble we run into. All the floors seem to be the same as they last were at a glance, and none of the NPCs are out of character. Choji supplied while rubbing his chin. Though, I honestly dipped out on most of them after talking to just a few on the 4th floor because they are just so, do people still say cringe? Konohamaru kept trying to fight Kankuro, saying that he'd beat the shit out of my NPC brother, a phrase I will apparently need to get used to saying. Tamari shook her head. Hinata smiled faintly, Hanabi-chan is so full of life in this world, though I think I created her to be too rambunctious and prideful. She has been berating the others, saying they should bow down before thinking they could ever hope to fight her. Yeah, I heard her shouting about Asuma. Also pretty sure I heard him tell her to stay in a child's place, Ino remembered. The arguing got so bad that I was able to test out that one thing still works. My ability to use calming aura pulse made everyone in the area very mellow, and they apologized to each other. Hinata told the others, who were glad their NPCs weren't at each other's throats for long. Deciding that the silliness was over, and they did indeed need to get underway with figuring out about this strange set of event they found themselves in, Naruto heaved a heavy sigh. I sent Jiraiya and Neji outside the guild to scope out the area. One of the Anbu Black Ops NPCs scared the crap out of me by appearing out of thin air, saying that the environment around the guild had drastically changed. The environment changed. And to what, exactly? Ino scrunched up her face. She looked more than a little fed up with all the nonsense they found themselves in. Wonderland. Oz. Is there a rabbit hole or yellow brick road leading out our gates that we should be worried about now? Some little blonde girl growing to the size of an elephant or a house falling on us? I just bet we'll melt if a bucket of water is thrown on us inside all this madness. Naruto shook his head, not sure exactly what Ino was going on about. No, nothing like that. Apparently, the mountains and giant forest we conquered before settling Konoha down in front of has disappeared, only to be replaced by grassland as far as my eyes could see. I was too chicken to step past the Great Bridge entrance point just yet because we have no idea what's out there waiting to take my head off. A lot of other players didn't like me, and if they went past the shutdown and found their way here too, then I think a little patience is necessary. Well, that's good. Hinata sighed in relief. I was afraid you'd run off trying to explore anything and everything. As much as I love you, Naruto-kun, you tend to leap before you look, as the saying goes. Naruto smiled as he could not deny this truth about himself. Believe me, it was tempting. I wanted so badly to go with them. Talk some more about what they know and hold as truth versus the real world. But they actually figured we might be in danger and told me to stay put. As much as the NPCs seem to act like our knights, servants, and whatever else the game has them labeled as for coding purposes, they seem much more affected by what we put as their backstory information. Though where danger is concerned, Jiraiya and Neji act like they did in the real world toward me, calling me dumb and stuff, but when they felt there was even a hint of danger, they acted like guardians or warriors or something. Sakura seemed to catch on faster than the others with Ino and Shino right behind her. So they have personality based in what we wrote for them, including subtly picking up on our own traits, but when the situation calls for it, these NPCs will revert to their basic primary function. Protect us and the guild at all costs. Naruto gave a much more serious look. Right, so let's try to go easy on them for now. I know I'm mostly saying that just for myself and Kiba. Hey. But Jiraiya the Gallant and Knight Neji will be back soon with more information. Until then, I guess we really should check out our powers, items, and other stuff, just in case whatever danger the NPC suspect is out there decides to power its way through the literal army of characters we've created to get to us. The others nodded, all appearing to grasp the situation already. Before we scramble our atoms and molecules to the four winds, Choji seemed nervous as he stared down at the Konoha Headband in his hands. Just how far did you send those two out to look around? It was a simple headband with a metal plate, one which was engraved the symbol of their Konoha 11 guild. The color of the cloth could be changed 3 times a day, and the headband raised defense, vitality, and stamina by a small amount. However, the real bonuses of wearing the headband came from its 2 abilities. The first was its freedom effect, which allowed the wearer to negate all binding, paralyzing, and other movement obstructing effects. Meaning that in the ninja or shinobi class they all occupied, it lent well to the rollerplay to have something that let you escape trapping effects easily. The headband's secondary use was far more important though. It allowed teleportation anywhere around the Konoha guild, save for a few key areas that teleportation was impossible for entry. The biggest no-no areas for teleportation Choji could think of were the God Tree on the 5th floor, the Material Vault on the 6th floor, and the Treasury on the 10th floor. Huh? Oh, I sent them out to look around in a 10-mile circle. I figured with all of Jiraiya's sensory stuff from being a Toad Sage combined with Neji's Byakugan, the two of them wouldn't have any problems that they didn't know were coming first. Naruto shrugged as he changed the color of the headband over his forehead. What do you guys think? Blue or black? Black suits you better. Ino spoke up with a hand on her hip while Hinata nodded in agreement. You don't need to compliment your eyes much because they are already pretty bright and attractive. Plus, the black headband will complement the black flame trim of your red sage coat. Yosh. Naruto gave a thumbs up as he tied the headband tied behind his head. Remember back when Rock Lee was with us? Good times. Okay. Let's get digital. Or molecule. Whatever. Fuck it. Teleport. Naruto hadn't needed to say anything or strike the ridiculous pose of Rikum from the Jinyu Force as he stuttered out of existence in front of them as though he were bad static on a television. In his disappearance a swirl of fresh tree leaves was left in the wake, pooling to the ground before shattering like an illusion. After activating the headband, Naruto felt as though he had been sucked up by a dark vacuum until he was spat out into a bright light at the end. Ugh, fuck that, I'll just run through the floors. Lord Naruto. Sir, over here. Naruto looked up to see that he was being called over by 2 guys. Around him was a forest of trees, but seated right in front was in fact the enormous open gates allowing entrance to the 7th floor's village of Konoha, or Konohagakurai as Hinata had termed it, once Naruto told her of his designs for the floor all those years ago. When the gates were closed, only those of the guild could open them without effort. However, Naruto was a fair guy despite his guildmates wanting total lockdown of every floor possible. He made sure there was a way to reach all the way to the 10th floor if the player or group of invaders possessed strength, wit, and bravery enough to make it all the way to face off against him and his guildmates. Prime example of his fairness was this very gate. If you were an invader to the guild, to open the gate would require the strength of at least a level 70 player devoted entirely to the warrior classes with all their might. He sort of based it off an anime he used to watch, in which the gates of that anime were all weighted to double from the previous gates. Man, this all becoming real makes me really miss watching anime. Hunter x Hunter was a pretty good one, too, Naruto muttered to himself as he walked over to the 2 individuals calling out to him. What's up guys? Nothing much sir. Just surprised to see you here is all. The one with long spiky black hair and a strip of bandage running across the bridge of his nose said, slacking back into his chair at the guard station. Yes. It's been quite a while since you've visited the gate of the village. How are you doing, Lord Naruto? The slightly younger looking of the pair with brown hair coming down to cover his right eye spoke with excitement in his tone. If he remembered right, they had been created as a sort of subversion from the normal trope that gate guards were meant to defend the gate. These two were even meant to fight. If an enemy walked up to them seeking entry to the village, they would just tell them how to enter. Mind you, if the gates had been opened beforehand, they would slam shut as soon as the enemy stepped foot on this floor. Oh, I'm just testing out some of the equipment and stuff. The whole guild has been transported to an unknown location, so me and the others are just making sure everything still works around here. Naruto rubbed the back of his head awkwardly, especially when the two gate guards jumped up in shock. What? The first yelled while slamming his hands on their station. Are you being serious, Lord Naruto? If this is a joke, then it's not a very funny one. The younger one shook his head. And if not, then aren't you being too lax about that type of an event happening? Ma. Relax, guys. Everything will be fine and we've got the whole thing under control. Naruto said, placing a hand on each of their shoulders and gently forcing them back into their chairs. The others are following me soon and I can assure you that between the 10 of us everything is well taken care of. The older man sighed and began to relax again, this time getting even more comfy in his position with his feet up on the station's desk. That's a relief. Glad to hear that the supreme beings are on top of things. Guess I can take that nap I've been dying for after all. How can you be so lax? And in front of Lord Naruto, too. Especially after he just revealed a highly classified emergency to us. The younger guy stared at his partner. I'm sure Lord Naruto doesn't mind. After all, he just said there was nothing to worry about. The older one yawned out. That's not the point. The younger began shaking his partner and they fell to the ground wrestling each other. Naruto shook his head. Izzy and Koji, can you two stop it? This is embarrassing. The two did stop at least, but now they were staring at Naruto with horror on their faces. Did he just call us? Izzy and Koji? Yeah. Naruto quirked a blonde eyebrow. Those are your names, right? The tears in their eyes told him how he had just made a terrible mistake. He doesn't even remember who we are. The younger one cried. I can't believe we've become so forgettable. Even after seeing him grow up from a scrawny brat into such a legendary being as the Supreme One. The older one collapsed out of his chair, but on the ground he started to pound his fist into the dirt. Did we fail somewhere along the line? Were we not steadfast in our resolve to defend the greatness of Konoha? This is all your fault, Katetsu. The younger one accused, pointing a finger wildly. My fault? This is your fault, Izumo. The older one with the spiky black hair and bandage across the bridge of his nose, now identified as Katetsu, threw back with his index finger right in the face of Izumo. All that by the book's rule following. I've been telling you for years it would make people think we were sewn into these damn chairs. Now even our glorious creator has forgotten our existence. Izumo flinched back as if struck across the face. Is this true? Have I been too stoic in my work as the guardian of Konoha's gates? Have we really begun to blend into the background as a side effect of effective job proficiency? Naruto looked to the newly appearing Hinata, Kiba and Shino for help as he gestured toward the two crying men. Yeah, no. I'm not gonna be touching whatever this is, Kiba said as he took one look at the scene and promptly walked right past as though someone were causing drama in a supermarket. Yes, Kiba is right. We have more important and pressing matters than dealing with this. Please catch up to us when you are done here, Naruto. We are heading for the stadium arena. Shino spoke plainly and Hinata could only give Naruto a peek on the cheek as she hurried to catch up with the others, especially once Ino, Choji, Gaara, Temari, Sakura and Tenten showed up and didn't even bother looking his way as they breezed past him. Why is it always me, Dadabayo? Naruto asked the skies before trying to calm the two men down, especially once they began crying in each other's arms about how they were officially orphans now for some reason. Great ones, Lady Tenten, how can I be of service to you? A stick-chewing man with a bandana tied around his shoulder-length brown hair asked casually once he landed from jumping down from the spectator's box of the Chunin exam. Final stage stadium arena with a cleaning rag in hand. Genma. Oh, thank God you're still here, Genma. Tenten shouted with glee as she hugged the man, who seemed as surprised as her own friends about this abnormal interaction. Dodged a real bullet on that one. I thought the whole time getting here that we had replaced you in the arena with one of our more asshole creations. No, ma'am, just me. Normal levels of asshole here. He quipped as he was released. He threw the cleaning rag into the bucket he had been using off to the side. So, anything I can do for you? Yeah, actually. Tenten gestured as Ino stepped beside her. What level are you again? Level? Genma scratched his chin. Not really sure what that means, but if I had to rate my skill and ability as a shinobi, then, I'd put myself at about 70, that is to say on the scale of 1 to 100, mind you, my lady. Could have just said level 70 for all that blabbing, Ino muttered to Tenten. Tenten ignored her blonde friend to keep herself cheerful. All the NPCs were a bit eccentric, but so were they as real people. Really it was all in the same vein as flawed creators making flawed creations. That's good. Because we need you to fight something for us. Genma paled a little. Using me to test another one of your spells or creations. Please, Lady Tenten, I think I can still feel the tenderness from healing after you introduced me to the 7 swords of the hidden mist and the latest version of Kusanagi. I beg you, find someone else to test your might as supreme beings against. Naruto had rejoined them just in time to hear that and was with the others as they stared at Tenten in horror. What have you done to this man in the past, Dadabayo? The blonde asked in a shocked whisper as Tenten got defensive. He wasn't the only NPC that I used to test weapons and stuff on. She snapped back at her guildmates, but they were now looking at Genma with pity. Some of them even patting him on the back. Oh fuck you guys. Ino, bring out the golem. Ino stopped trying to comfort Genma as she took several steps away from him. Sorry about this. You seem like a really chill dude, but, summon. Greater Earth Golem Ino intoned, and although she felt a bit uncertain and ridiculous, trying to do real magic in this isekai situation, they'd found themselves in, her body seeming to move on instinct as she put her hands together out front herself. Though she herself had little understanding of how this went for actual magic casters, Ino could feel the power hidden inside her body. As she reached for this power, she concentrated, and her mind's eye illustrated it floating into the air. Her aura began to flare to life, stirring in gentle waves of purple as it swirled all around her. HMPH, easy peasy. Ino smirked quite happily with herself, especially as she and the other bore witness to an extremely intricate magic circle manifesting from thin air beneath her feet. She could feel the range of her summoning power and its effects, as well as how long the cooldown would be before she could both launch her next spell and cast the summoning again. Another equally complex magical circle formed and a huge ball of light began to glow several meters away from all of them in the center of the arena stadium. The ball of light began to rip open the ground and steal chunks of earth to protect itself. It formed, slowly but surely, into a rocky titan that stood 4 times the size of Genma. The primal elemental creature stomped a foot which solidified the grounds and brought them back to order, but that was not its intent. It roared at Genma, sending pebbles and debris flying toward them in a dusty cloud as everyone backed away from the stick-chewing shinobi while he sighed tiredly to himself. And I just about got through cleaning this place, Genma complained as he suddenly surged forward in a blur, spitting out the stick he had been chewing at the earth golem. A huge hole was blown in its shoulder where the stick had impacted, causing its left arm to drop from the enormous body. The golem raised its other arm to squash Genma, but the man dodged to the side and punched the leg of the golem. Cracks fractured out into the leg, but it wasn't destroyed just yet. Ha! You'll have to hit harder than that, cool guy. Ino crowed as she felt a little pride at her creation. Especially as its arm reconnected to its body and the cracks began disappearing on it, showing it could heal from damage slowly, so long as it was on earthy terrain. That thing has, like, 15 levels on you. You better be taking this seriously, or we won't even try to see if revival magic or mechanics still work in here. HMPH, as difficult a taskmaster as ever Lady Ino, Genma groaned as he flipped away from the golem that was trying to smash him into paste. Lady Tenten, as my creator, you should know that I'm weak against elemental attacks. Ha ha ha, I might have forgot, Tenten admitted, making Genma balk at her. But you can do it. I believe in you. Come on, don't let some dumb rock Ino made beat you just because it's higher level. Kick that thing's crusty ass, Genma. Then I'll have to not disappoint you, my lady. Guess I have no choice then, Genma sighed out loud as if he were being annoyed by a kid sister. He resumed his cool and casual look, however, when he caught the fist that was trying to slam down on him with one hand, the ground beneath his feet cratered at the weight of the attack, but Genma appeared unharmed. He then ripped the arm from the golem, jumped up to be eye level with the elemental, then hammered it over the head with its own arm. When the golem went down, Genma landed nimbly on its chest before pulling out another stick to chew, though that was short-lived as he jumped very high this time, easily clearing 20 meters as he looked down at the golem. None shall defy the will of the almighty weapon mistress. Now feel my wrath. Genma snapped, spitting out his straw stick while forming a hand sign. Reign of Senbon. As the hay straw needle sailed downward, it multiplied to become 2. Then 4. 16. 206. It was a barrage of haw needles that clouded the air as they rained down on the golem, impacting it with the sounds of literal bullets being fired from a fully automatic rifle. Well fuck, Kiba muttered aloud, my dude here was just made to be cool as shit. You're welcome, scrubs, Tenten smiled proudly with her hands on her hips. Then she stuck her tongue out at Ino, seeing as her golem was struggling to reform, but instead began crumbling into dust as the orb at its center was revealed to have been pierced by several wooden senbon. The ground around it looked like a bombing site as the large field of wooden senbon needles began to disappear, leaving behind only the craters in their wake. And in your face, Ino. I told you the DPS of my guys could topple your defense monsters. Ino looked furious, blonde hair flaring in her anger. That's only because you power build first and roleplay second. My earthly summons would be uber op too if I made them to be broken as all hell. What even was that? I thought the Rain of Senbon only did AoE damage, not piercing. Denton gained an even more smug look. That's because his version of the attack is a bit different thanks to his character build. His wooden Senbon needles gain piercing and bludgeoning damage effects at the cost of slowing the attack speed by a whole fourth and decreasing its area of effect margins by a whole half. But I managed to circumvent the speed part and gave him an addition boost in attack power by giving him levels in Sniper, Arcane Ranger, and Weapon Master, with his specialty being in ninja tools. Oh, and I gave him the Sharpshooter feat. So, yeah, his attacks actually hit more like he's a level 90 character at the very least. Wait a second there, sword peddler. Choji held up a hand to stem the mechanics talk from Tenten as he caught on to something, much like the others were slowly beginning to realize. That means that he has little to no magic, can't even really do much unarmed combat, and his only weapons, knowing how you are as a player, are probably the sticks he's been chewing. Yup. Tenten chirped, very much pleased with herself for making such an awesome character. Choji turned to Ino, both with the same wicked look in their eyes. They both put out their hands as they summoned forth their respective magics. Summon. Primal Earth Elemental. Creation. Armor of Atlas equip Creation. New. Stop. You guys are being sore losers, again. Please don't try to kill me, Lady Ino. Lord Choji. Wait. Have mercy. Genma was nearly killed in broad daylight if not for Tenten herself stepping in to help him fight off the armored golem with her own weapons. With the smuggest looks on their faces, Ino and Choji pretended to be innocent while Tenten comforted the clearly traumatized Genma. Sakura was healing his wounds and Shino had recorded everything using one of his remote viewing spiders that could record and display things by creating intricate spider webs in seconds that did these surveillance functions magically. Now though, with everything back in its place and Genma being rewarded for his efforts with head pats from Hinata and some of Choji's snacks, Naruto thought it was as good a time as any to contact Jiraiya and Neji about the mission they were on. I guess it would still be the same as it was in-game, so, message. Naruto felt himself instinctively put the hand to his ear, as if speaking and listening through an earpiece like his godfather and older brother had done multiple times in front of him in the real world. Jiraiya, Neji, have you two not returned yet? What's the holdup? Ah. Terrible timing, brat. I was just about to seal the deal with. Jiraiya whined as Naruto could almost hear the clicking of heels retreating swiftly. Lord Naruto, I assure the delay in our return to your side is through no fault of my own. Jiraiya here has been perverting his way through the floors every time he sees one of the esteemed ladies of Konoha. Neji spoke just as curtly and primly as he did in life. Currently we are on the intense Aku town of the 4th floor as Jiraiya tries to secure an evening of romance with Miss Shizune. You old perv. She is half your age, so get your butt in gear and up here right now. Naruto shouted, even though he was sure he didn't need to. He just hoped he didn't hurt Neji with all the yelling. We're inside the village of Konoha, so get up here pronto. He cut the message spell short, not even bothering for a response, as he would be sure to get one of the more sadistic NPCs to whip the pervert out of Jiraiya if need be. Though his heart just wasn't in it. Honestly, his actual godfather would have done the same thing. Had done, in fact. The fact that they were both delaying themselves with Jiraiya's nonsense meant there was no danger whatsoever and none that would require their most immediate attention. For that, Naruto was glad. Though, watching Tsunade beat Jiraiya with a physical Bible would also lift his spirits a bit, too. Was that Jiraiya and Neji you contacted, Naruto-kun? Hinata gently took his hand in her own. Apparently they were going to get something to eat from one of the food stalls inside the market district of the village proper, while Genma repaired the stadium grounds with help from another NPC named Shiho. If Naruto remembered right, that character had been made by Shikamaru in the image of a girl the Naruboy once had a crush on. Damn, Naruto really hoped Shikamaru or someone had made a replica of the lazy fucker's current girlfriend inside the guild somewhere. Dealing with jackasses like Jiraiya without some extra eye candy would quickly grate on his nerves. Looking around as he finally became aware of the whispers and awestruck expressions of the villagers that had only hours ago been a bunch of free-spawning generic NPCs, Naruto leaned down to first nibble on Hinata's ear, then whisper into it after she was done squeaking, blushing, and stuttering. So, hey, what's the deal with these characters? They act like we're a bunch of celebrities. He asked while Hinata made half-hearted attempts to keep his hands in proper positions off her body. They make in fact see us that way. We could be anything in their view from S superstars to our royalty. Half of them are bowing, SC. Hinata pointed out, slipping out of Naruto's grip to point one of his own fingers at the scattered individuals that were showing formal respect to them as they walked through the village. Cool. Naruto looked around more, even as Jiraiya and Neji appeared in gusts of leaves behind him and Hinata at the back of the group. Look at Hinata. Pervy and Neji have finally arrived. Jiraiya grabbed Naruto by the head and started giving him a rough nudie. You little brat. It wasn't so long ago that you could barely summon a tadpole. I am still both your godfather and master in the Toad Sage arts. You will show me the utmost respect. Ah. Ow, ow, ow. Naruto grit his teeth because there was no way he was gonna cry uncle to this asshole. He wrestled out from Jiraiya only to start giving the older man an Indian burn arm. I'll respect you when you start perving out on women that were in diapers back when you were old enough to drink. What is wrong with you? I wish they made a pill to keep old farts like you limp as freshly cooked pasta. Why you lowly, ungrateful little brat. Oh yeah, you ugly, big-nosed, unrepentant, perverted geezer. The others had stopped to watch these two idiots duke it out in the middle of the street. Jiraiya had Naruto in a headlock, though Naruto had a good hold on one of the older man's nipples and was twisting relentlessly. When Naruto put Jiraiya in an ankle lock, the Toad Sage used his foot to try to ground the blonde boy's private region into a fine paste. In the end, they resorted to hair pulling, eye gouging, belly slapping, and farting on the other's head like a couple of 5-year-olds. Finally, at the farting stage, Hinata had seen and heard enough. She shook her head as she grabbed both men by their ears and tucked them as painfully as she could without mercy. Both were begging, but she did not relent as she practically dragged them up the street until they came upon a very familiar ramen bar that she remembered quite fondly from one of Naruto's stories about where he worked. Welcome to Ichiraku's Ramen. Oh, Lady Hinata. How good to see you again. AM greeted brightly, then she saw the luggage Hinata was dragging in and began to look agitated. Okay, what were you two baboons doing that Lady Hinata of all people has to punish you like children? Hinata dumped Naruto in one seat and then Jiraiya in another. She sat between them. He started it, AM. Naruto cried fake tears, I sent him out to check the area, not the circumference of boobs and asses. I did that after me and Neji scouted the area. I did my job. Jiraiya turned to AM, when have I ever not done my job? Gucci came from the back of the little restaurant with several steaming fresh bowls of ramen, placing them in front of the trio, as though this was all natural. Well, you've never failed at your job, Lord Jiraiya, but, as for completing them to the letter and in timely fashion without you stopping to flirt with some young lady, would you like alphabetical or chronological order? Jiraiya shot Tucci a betrayed look, even as he began to slurp up his noodles with gusto. And as for you, Naruto. AM waved a ladle like a broadsword in Naruto's face, making him reflexively raise his hands in surrender. AM had never been this brazen back in the real world with him, but she always seemed to have this temper with the other guys they worked with. Even some of the customers, so Naruto knew better than to cross her when she was fired up. I could hear that street ruckus from in here, so I assume that was you and Jiraiya making all that racket in the middle of our piece. You are a supreme being now, the one above all. Geez, if I can go a day without having to remind you of that, I'll call it a blessing. You are not that same scrawny little kid that used to run around wanting to be Hokage anymore. You can't just fight Jiraiya or Konohamaru or anyone in the streets anymore just because they annoy you. You've become a man and a supreme being. Start acting like it. Naruto looked properly trounced by AM's words as he slurped his ramen in subdued silence. Hinata ate the same way, but with an air of being the only sibling not to get a lecture from their eldest sister. AM sighed as she shook her head at the pair of men in her life. Her father was too busy chuckling at their despair. Neji and the others, who had been skirting outside of view, finally decided it was safe to come in, all grabbing a seat in various order while ordering from Tucci, since AM was now smiling and leaning over the counter to speak to Naruto and Hinata. So when's the wedding? She asked slyly, making Naruto and Hinata nearly choke on their ramen. I mean, I know the two of you are married and all. But like we've been saying for a while now, this is the time of peace. It's about time you two had your wedding. And no, Lady Hinata, I don't mean a dual wedding with Lady Ino. She deserves her own wedding day just as much as you deserve yours. But you get one first. You are far too kind, Hinata. To that, I'm sure Ino will agree. Sure will. Ino said between munching down on orders of dango and seaweed candy paper. Weddings. Before Hinata or Naruto could even get a word out, AM focused her stern look on them again, making them both fall silent. Naruto is a bit of a guy, I know, so this kind of stuff isn't in his wheelhouse. Especially with all the time he's devoted to training and just plain surviving to become the supreme leader of all of Konoha. And you've been right there by his side the whole way. I am glad you two eventually tied the knot after defeating and assimilating the Akatsuki into Konoha's ranks, but don't you think that now is the time to show the whole guild of Konoha 11 just how devoted you two are to each other? You've defeated Madara, Kaguya, even that guy from the moon. AM backed off as she sighed with her hands on her hips. Me and the others have just been thinking it's about time you all came back down to earth with some normal stuff once. And your weddings, sorry. Your weddings would be a nice start to the goal. Especially since Lady Tenten and Lady Tamari recently proposed their hands in marriage to you now. Tenten choked on her tea, meanwhile Tamari only paused in her eating for a split second before shrugging it off as casually as if she had simply misheard something that was said. But she knew that she didn't mishear a damn thing. AM was back to glaring at Naruto, but only lightly so. Honestly, Naruto, you can't be married 4 times over and not have a single wedding. I know you don't really like all the traditions and customs and rules of formal ceremonies, but you can stomach it for a while if it makes Hinata happy. All of your wives, in fact. Naruto turned to Hinata for some defense, but she was looking at him as well with fervent eyes. Please, Naruto-kun. Hinata made everyone freeze with her small, helpless voice. I just want a day without every thought revolving around the next enemy to be fought or business of the village. Pretty please, for me. Damn, that was cold as all hell, Kiba muttered into his bowl of ramen. No way for Naruto to get out of this one. He was trapped from the moment the word wedding left the ramen girl's mouth, Choji said between huge teethy bites while enjoying his barbecue meats. Still, I would have never thought Hinata could be so devious and evil, it's almost unsettling, Shino commented while sipping tea. AM slammed her hands to the countertop, startling the others. That settles it. You just leave everything to me and the women of all of Konoha 11. We'll plan the perfect weddings for you and all the others. You have my word. AM, no, don't betray me like this, I'm too young to get married, Dadabayo. Naruto looked as if his soul were leaving his body. DSK, you are already married, Blondie, Sakura poked fun at him, all the while cackling. 4 times over, in fact. Thankfully, you don't have any babies or kid NPCs running around, or we might have to put your dumbus on child support. AM cut her eyes towards Sakura, who squeaked as she found herself under that mature gaze like a little sister caught borrowing makeup. Oh, don't think that excluded you, Lady Sakura. Just how long did you think you could shack up with Sasuke without a commitment? I know you have devoted your life to your work as the village's best medic, but your love life is an entirely different story. You have to propose to him, or else he'll just keep thinking it's fine to live a love out of wedlock. Sakura's brain short-circuited at AM's words. Me, propose, to, Sasuke, wedlock. And you Lord Shino. I will expect the wedding plans to be finalized by 3 months' time. Shino said calmly. I have prayed my whole life to be this healthy. And I dreamed for well over a year to be able to hold and love Fu in this way. I think I can wait a little while longer to give her the wedding she deserves. HMPH, just as I expected from the most logical of the supreme beings. AM appeared to expect Shino's answer even before he finished speaking. Before Amy could even think to look his way, Choji pointed a fork her way and glared. Just don't even try. I'll find my own way on the path to love. So you and whoever the hell else you're plotting with just stay out of my way. AM chuckled nervously, waving her hands. Fair enough, Lord Choji, fair enough. After calming down a bit, she began tapping at her chin with a finger. Well, with that in mind actually, now, how do we get Lord Kiba a steady relationship that he won't either ruin with his bad habits or toss aside for his wild, untamed passions of the open world? Hey. I'm right here. AM let out yet another nervous bout of laugh. Oh, don't you worry, Lord Kiba. Just leave everything to us. We'll find you the perfect woman here in Konoha. You have my word. While she was busy thinking out loud to herself and arguing with Kiba about how personality was just as important as a sexy body, Naruto felt like he was forgetting something. I feel like we're forgetting something. He spoke out loud in an obvious manner. Our report, Lord Naruto. Neji said after finishing his meal, leaving his place and bowl in a pristine manner, as though he had never eaten at all. The outside world has certainly changed, this we can guarantee. Oh yeah, Naruto leaned onto the counter with both arms, resting his head down, as though he would take a nap soon. Good food always did that to him. He bit back a yawn. Just how bad is it out there? Neji looked like he was about to get up from his seat in order to kneel in reverence to give his report, but Kiba hooked him by the back of his shirt top and dropped him right back into his chair without so much as looking away from his third bowl of ramen, as Tucci kept the food coming. Yes, well, firstly, my masters, the surrounding 3 kilometers of land is grasslands. There are no man-made structures around. Although we have seen some small creatures, there are no humans or large creatures. That is to say, nothing of intelligent life at any rate. Those small creatures, were they monsters? Tamari asked as she crossed her legs in a feminine manner while turning away and leaning her back to the counter. No, not at all. Jiraiya shook his head. They were small fry woodland critters, no fighting capabilities at all. I see. Those grasslands you speak of, they wouldn't happen to be of those with sharp frozen grass blades, which would pierce you as you walk through such difficult terrain. Shino spoke up while still enjoying some sushi. No, just normal grasslands. Nothing special. Jiraiya shrugged even as he appeared bemused by the question. You also didn't see any sky castle-like structures in the sky. That is to say, any floating castles in the sky with their towers in the shape of hilts, pointing downward into the structures. Sakura asked, remembering that they had a treaty with an allied guild that had set up only a little bit away from their guild's field space. Yes, there were none. Whether in the sky or the ground, there were no signs of humans, other guilds, or even monsters. Neji reported to the assembled supreme beings. I see, just a simple sky, good work, Neji. Naruto said, even as he felt Jiraiya glowering behind him. Well, after that the grasslands lead into a forest, which was a bit more interesting. Still just a bunch of small fry monsters, but at least those creatures there could fight. Though they are all pretty minor stuff. Pesky nuisances, at best, those ragged groups of goblins, ogres, and trolls. Yeah, nothing we can't handle. Kiba agreed, as he finally stopped eating to pay attention. We should still be on our toes, though. We can't have been the only guild or even people to be transported from the game to wherever we are. Not to mention the monsters that might have followed. Just because they aren't around now doesn't mean they don't exist anymore. Tenten put forward as Ino nodded. I agree with Tenten. In a situation like this, out of sight should never mean out of mind for us. The platinum blonde girl commented. Then we up the security of the guild in general. Sakura leaned back while playing with her sushi between her chopsticks. It had been a very long time since she had a meal this good. If the NPCs react the ways they were created, then commanding them to do protection of the guild isn't out of the equation. Naruto shifted his head in his arms, even as he felt Hinata drape herself over his back. Well, let's at least meet with them all first before we go messing up their lives and daily routines. Obviously, things here in the guild operate a bit differently than they did when it was all part of the game. So we should show our creation some respect in regard to the way they work. Jiraiya and Neji are free roaming guardians, but they do have a main job on the 4th and 7th floors, respectively. Kiba nodded in agreement as he scratched his stomach comfortably. Naruto might be an idiot, but he's right about this. We need to respect our NPCs and trust their opinions in this matter. After all, if push comes to shove, none of us will be on the front lines fighting the enemy when and if they come knocking on our door. Sounds to me like we need to call some sort of big-time meeting. Ino summarized all their thoughts into one. If we can get all the main guardian groups to meet in one place, then we can ask them all at once, instead of going floor to floor asking their advice. Naruto turned gently to Jiraiya, trying his best not to disturb Hinata on his back. What did you think, Jiraiya? Sound like a good plan? Huh? Jiraiya stopped staring at AM's chest and scribbling in a notebook long enough to pull a look of confusion. Yeah. Sounds great to me. Meeting, guardians, opinions, yup. Good plan. Ugh, will you be serious for once? I know you were paying attention, you enormous goof. You don't have to play the fool all the time, Dadabayo. Ha! Tsunade owes me a kiss. Jiraiya cheered while it was Naruto's turn to look confused. I bet here earlier today that I could annoy you enough to make you say that verbal tick. Ha! I win, and now it's smooching time. Naruto facepalmed himself, dragging the hand from his hairline down to his chin across his face. Ugh, why are you so damn annoying? Jiraiya's face then took on a very serious expression. But honestly, you're right. Asking the others for their input will only prove vital to the protection of Konoha. Though you masters have warped a space to fit your images, it was our job to learn every aspect of these spaces and protect them from all threats. Internal and external. I dare not assume to have knowledge that you all don't already, but if we can provide even a glimmer of a new idea or angle of information, then our jobs as floor guardians and citizens of Konoha would have been well fulfilled. Naruto smiled because this meant that the pervy sage was exactly as his godfather had been in the real world. And for that, he was glad. Okay then, I assign you to gather all the guardians from the 1st through the 5th floor. Jiraiya paled a little and his jaw went slack. Now wait just a minute. And you, Neji, can get all the guardians for floors 6 through 10. Neji also had a rather horrified look on his face. Please reconsider, my lord. Perhaps this task would be better suited to the Anbu Black Ops, even the messenger hawks we possess. Nope. Naruto chirped happily as he knew and remembered some of the NPCs of each floor. Gather them. Oh, but from the 6th, 8th, and 10th floors only bring back Kurama, the first Hokage, and I think we put her in a red dress. She does earth moves and she's got, like, a lesbian's haircut. Do you mean, could you possibly be referring to Lady Kukuritsuchi? Neji's pale eyes were wide and disbelieving at the description made by their supreme leader about one of the most powerful guardians ever created and trained within their guild. And he called her a lesbian. And just where is this meeting going to take place? Jiraiya asked crowingly. Naruto shrugged his shoulder in an uncaring fashion, but Choji snapped his fingers as a place came to mind. Hey. Since we've already visited the Chunin exam's final area, why not have the meeting inside the Chunin exam's other building? You know, that tower we made inside the literal forest of death. Ooh, I like the way you think, Cho man. Kiba gained an evil grin. Make those fuckers trek through forest hell and giant tigers and shit. I know, right? Choji matched Kiba's excitement as they high-fived each other. It'll be like a test to see if they're really good or not. Sort like a gladiator thing. You two are so damn immature, Ino groaned while flipping her hair over her shoulder. But I love it. Even if the second floor's level is set way lower than most of the guardians, now that things are real, they might have some difficulty with the traps and beasts on the floor. Survival of the fittest, baby. Kiba held up a hand for another high five from the girls around him, but none of them gave him one. So, he did it himself with no shame whatsoever. Right, Jiraiya drawled in a very uncomfortable manner, I'll just get right on telling folks to meet in the Chunin exam's tower. While Jiraiya simply vanished from his seat in a quick fashion, Neji made a show of rising from his chair to give them all a formal bow. He then went into the middle of the road and vanished as though he never existed in the first place, without sight or sound. Fucking show-offs, Kiba grumbled as he had never equipped his character with such flashy disappearing teleport mechanics or designs. Serves him stupidly right for going with Naruto's dumb idea that they all only use the leaf one.